Greetings, traveler.
Hey everyone, Season 12 has been announced and it is a massive patch. It's super exciting. Let's dive right in. We have a new mechanic, so this is something like quests or anomalies or trinkets. It has been a while since they made the last new mechanic, so very exciting to get right into this. It's called the Timewarp Tavern, and it is best compared to trinkets because it also happens on turn 6 and turn 9, which are your lesser and greater trinket turns. Seems to be the sweet spot where it's not too early in the game, they have no idea what's going on, but not too late where the game is nearly over. What happens during these turns is you get taken to a special tavern where you first make a selection of extra cards and then you get to play your turn. So very similar like trinkets, you just get a nice little bonus and then you get to play your turn. The only difference is that you don't buy these with gold, you buy these with chronums. Now it's actually very simple. You're awarded 2 chronums at the start of these Timewarp Tavern turns, and you can't take the chronums into a later time warp. So if you don't spend them on the first time warp, they're gone. So you should spend them basically. Cards will either cost 1 or 2 chronums, so you can have 2 just nice little boosts to your board or 1 really nice good expensive card, and then you get to just play your turn. Now we see here that there are unique minions, so minions we've never seen before that with effects that we haven't had before. Spells, same deal here, you can buy a powerful spell. You also have alternate versions of cards, which is very cool. I've already, we're going to cover all of them, but these are cards like, for instance, an alley cat that is suddenly quite strong and has a powerful effect, so super cool to see that. And then you can also buy second hero powers. So then all of a sudden you have 2 hero powers this game. So ridiculously exciting. Now I know you guys want to get into all the new stuff, but before we do that, I really quickly want to touch on the removed minions. The new minions are being added on top of all the new Time Warp cards and some changed cards, because when we talk about all the cool combos that we could be doing, we need to know which cards are actually in that we can combo them with. Now, if you're not interested in that, that's totally fair. You can just skip ahead in the video and find the first Time Warp, which is all these new cards we're going to be talking about. So like I said, first we're going to go quickly through the removed cards. A lot of these are not going to matter too much, so I will not spend too much time on them. Here, I would say Greymane is a nice tempo option. Monstrosity was quite tempo heavy and quite meta defining, especially in the first part of the meta, but nothing too crazy. Pen Pal is out, that makes sense because we don't have buddies anymore. No more Beacon of Hope, that is quite significant. That really rewarded power leveling to 5 and, trying to get a brand and having a huge turn. Then from Beasts, we see Alley Cat out, so no more turn 1 or tier 1 economy for Beasts here. Oh, no Stegodon. That's also huge. So the beasts are going to get a different archetype most likely. We also see no more Gift Horse, so more difficult to do Avenge stuff, and Hawk Strider out, which is obviously a massive nerf to Death Rattle builds. Then for demons, no more Juggler. I mean, this is all like pretty standard. No more Implicator, no more Cupcake. So this, not a huge deal for demons. This is just to make space for new cards. Dragons, no more Charmwing. That is very huge. No more Sandstone, so no more Sandstone Master combo. Caligos is out again. Yeah, Caligos is like, I'm in, I'm out. But Charming is a huge change. No more Greenskeeper to trigger battle cries. No Dina. Then, Elementals, we see Master out. That was to be expected. No more Vine Climber. No more Lantern Lava. No more Elemental of Surprise. That's a surprise. That card has been in for a long time, so okay. That's gonna take a moment to get used to. No more Lantern Lava is also huge. That's a big economy card. And Nagas, no more Silivas, no more Fauna, no more Rat Scale. These are all big changes, so probably lots of new stuff coming to Nagas. Then Mechs, no more Beadbox or no more Hollow Rover. That's also huge. No more Poltron, but we saw Stegodon going out, so that does make sense. No more Super Constructor, no more Wind Fury. Right, okay. Then Murlocs, no more Shulfin. It's a bit harder to get your spell power up. We also saw Super Constructor rotating out, so perhaps a little less focused on spell power this season, which would be cool because spell power is really dominant. Bow Spitter is out, but usually that just means that Belcher is back in because they kind of rotate. You have to have like one scam option for Murlocs. Then Pirates, huge overhaul. No more Rogers, no more Privateer. So bounties are essentially out. So likely going to have some other economy option coming in. And then some spell power out again, right? So seems pretty tough to get spell power this season. Or, you know, they've introduced a ton of other mechanics. Then for Quillbore, no more Dark Gaze. That's kind of whatever. No more shields. So not huge changes for Quillbore. Quillbore should largely still have a lot of the options they have right now, but I have seen that they introduce a cool other way to play Quillbore. So definitely no changes for Quillbore. Then Undead, no more random monos, no summoner, no noisel. Also not like huge changes, right? I guess Carapace is out. That is huge. Never mind. Carapace out is huge. So that's one of the main ways to play Undead right now. My editor throwing in some fun here. Tier 7s are going to be changed. So we're going to go over to new tier 7s. And there's no more Morgul. Thank God for that, because I hate playing as Morgul. I am okay with Scam being in a game. I think it's fair. You need that. But Tide Oracle is more than Scam. It punishes you for having a big minion. It's not just like, oh, my guy died. It's like, oh, they now have all my stats. Okay, cool. I guess I lose. So I love that that's getting changed. Behemoth was also a little unhealthy for the game. There's a lot of infinite stat combos with that, so that makes sense. Spells, no more T-Service. That was really fun to fish for Bran. You guys know I like my Bran. No more Wind Fury on dragons, Charming out, that does make sense. And then Cry Foul is also a pretty iconic card, but with all the new Timewarp cards, that does make sense, because it'd be really annoying if somebody Cry Fouls your Timewarp card and you're like, oh, look, I just get a whole extra trinket, basically. It's like Cry Foul could steal a trinket, basically, right? That's a bit strong. And then no more bounties, that also makes sense, because all the bounty pirates are out. All right, and aside from removed cards, we also have some old cards coming back and getting changed. We have Blazer coming back, so Self-Damage Beast is going to be a thing. That's a nice payoff for that. Trigor, which is in the same category. Self-Damage Beasts, definitely a staple there. Savior, same deal. Just enabling the hold archetype. Rampager, Rooster. Oh, this one's a big change. Wrathweaver now has some art update, and that's because he's now a demon, finally. Wow, this was so annoying that Wrathweaver wasn't a demon, so I'm glad that we finally have the technology that Wrathweaver is a demon. that's a big one. I love that. I don't think that breaks the game. It's just a nice quality of life update. Soul Rinder back, of course. Wrathweaver back in the game. We want some damage negation. Percussionist, same part of that package. Furious Driver, that's just to eat the shop. That's actually really, yeah, that's strong, because we're going to talk about some other shop consumption stuff later. So Furious Driver is a big deal. Ashen Corruptor is back. Okay, that's sort of like Archimond, but not quite like Archimond at home. Mom, can we have Archimond? It's, it's fine. You get the buff. All right, so it's still better than a Soul Rider. It's just, not quite. Felbor is now quite heavily nerfed. It's now, after you cast 3 spells, you consume 1 minion. I'm not sure what it was before, but it was like eating more minions, or it was a lot cheaper to trigger. But we are going to see that there is like a huge new way to buff the shop. So that makes sense. That I don't think that makes Felbor a bad card. I think that's probably, usually when you see something heavily getting nerfed, the devs play tested and like, this is way too good. So that's usually a good indication where you're like, oh, it's probably not so bad. Huh? All right. Felemental is 2-1. I think it was 2-1 last time it was in, right? But it's hard to keep track. But, more shop buff mechanics. Specialists back for Tavern spells. We've already seen there's a little bit of Tavern spell synergy here. So more synergy with casting Tavern spells this season, maybe. Recruiter is still another friendly. Yeah, so +3/+1. Gargoyle. Yeah, it's just like okay tempo option. Reborns with full attack. Lasso, that's a big one. This is really your preferred triple. Like usually when you triple into a 6-drop early, you just want economy, and Lasso is just perfect because it's Divine Shield, it's Wind Fury, it gets you 2 spells, you can reborn it. It's wonderful, right? Like we also used to have this Murloc with Wind Fury that give you battle cries. I think that's what it did exact. But Neon Agents, right? But that's these cards are like there's nothing better to triple into early because it's tempo with economy attached to it. It's so nice. Then Serena is still on +3 attack. So this thing gets sort of buffed and nerfed depending on where mechs are at, but looks like they're leaving it at +3 attack. Then we have Marquee Ticker generating some spells. Sure, yep. Spell meta, maybe, yeah. Swamp Striker, yeah, whatever. Belcher, yeah, we talked about. One Venom out, the other Venom is back. Lord of Gains is not buffing himself. So again, he goes a little bit from I buff myself, I don't buff myself. But it's hard to have Lord of Gains be super viable, especially at higher MMR. It's kind of tough to make it work, but if you have enough of them and you have Jokari, it's okay. Tethys is back. Okay, I do like Tethys. I think it's fun. I do think that they really nailed it with Rogers though. So I would love to see bounties make a comeback because it was very fun to play. Now we did see a lot of spell power rotating out, so that does make sense, and there's probably too much synergy with being able to cast so many Tavern spells, so you can't have Rogers and Privateer in a meta where casting spells are super powerful because the pirates are super broken, of course. But it would be nice in the future if they bring those back, because I would say that's probably my favorite iterations of pirates yet. But Tethys is also fun, right? So you get extra pirates here, lots of fun, lots of money. Dealer is now a 3-drop. This was a 5-drop at one point, maybe a 4-drop. That's later on. It's hard to keep track, but it's now a 3-drop. So it starts as a 1/1, and it says after you gain gold, gain 1/1. So gaining gold, that means I sell a unit and my gold goes up. So basically, every time you sell a unit, this gets stronger. Every time you coin, this gets stronger. Every time you start your turn, I believe it also counts as gaining gold. So this scales quite quickly, especially if you're APMing with the Tethys. Bookie back, get a gem end of turn. Bonehead for some Avenge stuff. Primus is on Avenge 3, but it's a 13 health unit, so probably roughly where they left it off last time. Avenge 2, this was too strong. This was very meta defining, but with the extra resources from the Timewarp Tavern, I'm not sure if that's still a problem, so I'm not entirely sure, but you know, Avenge 3 was a little slow last time we played with it. Green Thumb, this guy is so fun. It's really fun to get early because you sometimes, let's say you start with the Bonehead, we just saw the Undead. This is actually like decent tempo and then some scaling, and he's just a fun little guy. You put 2 Green Thumbs next to each other. It's a really fun early game thing. Yeah, this was a fun card last time it was in, so I'm glad it's back. Nest Matron is also a very fun card, generating economy early, also really giving you incentives, I would say, with what we've seen here with Green Thumb and Nest Matron, and these are neutrals, so they're always in. A little bit of incentive to start off with something like a Bonehead, something to make your Avenge work, maybe a Mana Saver, right? So pretty cool to see those cards returning. Elise is back. Okay, this was a huge problem last time in tier 7 lobbies, but it's not an Avali meta this time, so it's probably okay. Elise is just a fun neutral card to play with, and just makes it more likely that you get a comp together from the mid game because it guarantees a triple at some point. Blue Shell is back, Beacon is out, so that makes sense. One catch-up mechanic is out, the other comes back. This is pretty fun, and especially on tier 4, you could play a lot of these. So I love these. I love Beacon and I love Blue Shell because it fits my playstyle perfectly, which is greed and then try to pop off. And then we have Trent coming back. This is more a tempo option. We did see this last time when there was a tournament, that this was a pretty cool option and people really loved tripling into this because it's a lot of tempo. So don't underestimate this card. This was quite important in the last big tournament when this card was in. Botanist, never really cared about this card. It's fine. Atrocity, that's a very fun like anti-scam card, and depending on if you have access to something like Kangor, you can resummon a lot of these. Usually just like a nice thing to have in the meta. Eyes of the Earth Mother, that is a huge one coming back. And this is why I really wanted to do returning and changed and stuff first, because you can eyes Timewarp Tavern units. So that means you can golden them. Which is just a massive difference, right? Being able to golden your trinket, essentially. Like, let me golden my lesser trinket. So, very cool. Probably going to be a little broken, but very cool. I think it's fun. It'd be more fun to have it than to not have it. This is always a fun card for me when it's in the meta. And then we also have Unmasked Identity, which is also a really fun card to have. Discovering a new hero power. You never know what you're going to get, so super cool to have. And then we have some more returning and changed cards. So Trickster is going to be changed, where it's now a tier 3. Give this minion's maximum health to another friendly minion. So just increasing the tier. Sly Raptor also increasing the tier. It now is a 4-drop and it summons an 8/8. Mount is back and it is going to be a tier 5 unit. So we saw that Mech Horse is out, but this is essentially Mech Horse, right? Sometimes worse, but oftentimes better. Where if you very specifically have insane Goldrun buffs, then Mech Horse is probably better because it gives you guaranteed a thing that makes another thing, and Mount doesn't guarantee make another thing, but it can. You can go Mount into Raptor into Mount, I believe that is possible. It's pretty unlikely. There's some really cool stuff with Raptor. Then Goldrun is going from 6/6 to 8/8. Oh man, this is crazy. That means that a golden Goldrun is plus 16/16. This is getting a little out of hand. This is really like, we are going to make Goldrun happen, right? Even if I have to make it a 20/20 buff, you are going to play Goldrun and you are going to like it. The one issue I have here is that I think there is still a pretty big discrepancy between the high MMR and the low MMR experience. So Goldrun is a pretty easy build to play, meaning that I have a Goldrun, I have a Macaw, and I have a Titus. Cool, my comp is kind of functional now, right? Like, I can just play whatever, and it's gonna do pretty well, because I'm gonna buff my beasts. And then, you know, if you have 2 mounts and stuff, it just gets better. But at high MMR, it's pretty low cap, which means that if you're not APMing, if you don't have a golden brand, you don't have a lot of resources, it's hard to win a lobby with Goldrun. Now, my fear is that when they keep buffing it like this, that at some point it's just going to be way too strong in the lower ranks because it's so easy to execute. So we'll see what this does. This might already be pushing it where it's going to destroy at lower ranks, because that's a lot of tempo that you get immediately for Goldrun. Urzel is back to consuming a single minion. That definitely makes sense because, again, right, we've seen, or we're going to see some stuff that makes it easier to buff the shop, so probably too strong if it eats 2. Cyclone is now a 1-drop. A little weird, but okay, I guess, sure. Shadow Dancer is a 5, which means you can't target it with Eyes of the Earth Mother. That's going to be a huge balancing tool for them right now. The difference between a 4-drop and a 5-drop is already pretty big, but when Eyes of the Earth Mother is in the game, it becomes massive, right? Whether something is a 4 or a 5 is very, very important when Eyes of the Earth Mother is in. Ancho now buffs when you're summoning instead of just playing. Okay, so you can get like a little mid-combat buff if you with your base skill, whatever, right? Hot Springer now also buffs cards in your hand. Okay, that's a nice quality of life thing for sure. Silent Enforcer deals 2 instead of 4, but it is a 4-drop, so you can eyes it. So that's a pretty big distinction here. And honestly, the amount of damage is not that important, right? For Lord of Ruins, it's more how many times you deal damage, so that is a buff, right? That's definitely a buff. Utility Drone now goes to tier 6, but it's +2/+2 instead of 2/1. Now, again, I've seen the new cards, and there's some cool magnetic stuff that will definitely make Utility Drone way stronger, so. Canopy Swinger now also buffs the hand. Makes sense. Yeah, it's a 3-drop. Meditative now gives 1/1. We did see that Ratskill Rogue is out, so that makes perfect sense. We've also seen a lot of spell power options being gone, but Meditative's still in, so that makes it extra good. If you have anything spell related, there's fewer options, so you're really gonna want the Meditative. And with Ratskill Rogue out, you can't just stack a bunch of health and then use a Rogue later on, so again, this makes perfect sense to make it a 1/1. Zesty Shaker is now a tier 3 instead of a 2, so a little bit of a nerf for Deep Blue, but we are going to see some Deep Blue support, so that also does make sense. McGurgle also hand buffing now. That's a theme with Murlocs. Hand buff is stronger. Shell Collector now gets you a Tavern coin, so that is a Tavern spell, which is important for certain mechanics, right? Think about Hooktail, for instance, where that wouldn't do anything if you play a regular coin, but would do something with a Tavern coin, so it's just a nice little buff. Deep Sea Angler goes from a 1-drop to a 3-drop and now gives +2/+6, huh? So you're getting a 4/9 stat line 3-drop. That's not bad, right? 4/9, and then you could put 2/6 on whatever, so it's usually better than a 4/9 because you usually have a better unit or a Divine Shield unit to put this on, so quite a high tempo option now. So we have Gem Confiscation, which is a little bit of a wording change where it says this plays 2 blood gems on a minion, Instead of play 2 blood gems on a friendly minion, which means you can target the Tavern. We are going to see a mechanic where you can put gems in the Tavern. So this way you can throw your gem confiscation and steal gems while it's still in the Tavern, which is kind of cute, kind of funny. Snake Tongue gives you a Tavern coin instead of a regular coin, same as the Shell Collector. Courier is back up to 2 attack, and it's a 4-drop. So yeah, Courier, it seems like it's a little tough to fit that, but maybe now with Tethys being back, it makes a bit more sense, but it was just, you know, pretty much wasn't in the meta. We were playing Hooktail instead, because this was just not that strong. Bonker is no longer Wind Fury. So this plays a Blood Gem on all your other minions. And the previous one was Wind Fury Rally, play a Blood Gem on all your other minions. So that does tell me that they're afraid of how well Quillbore are going to perform, where there's some Quillbore buffs or things where if you play Blood Gems on your board, it's too strong. So no more Wind Fury on Bonker. Geomancer now gets you 2 Blood Gems, and it is a 2-1 instead of a 3-1. But that's a huge buff, for sure. Absolutely. Especially with Bran, that's 4 Blood Gems. So this now has Bacon status. Very nice. And then the last changed spell here is you get +2/+2 from your staff, but it costs 2 gold on tier 4 instead of +1/+1. So that is still quite good because you'd rather buy 1 staff and get 2/2 than 1 staff and 1/1. But when you have a lot of spell power, the extra buff becomes less relevant, and then it is quite a nerf where you would rather have the old one, right? You'd rather have the 1-for-1 gold. Now, this doesn't matter too much. The main thing here is that you have the demon that generates the staff in your hand, and that's now 2/2, and that's where it really changes. So massive buff for that card, which is why it's also going to tier 5 instead of tier 4. And then now we have a bunch of new cards coming as well, on top of all the new Timewarp stuff. We first have Hardy Orca, which is a really nice tempo card. It's a beast, it's a 1/6 taunt, and whenever this takes damage, give your other minions 1/1. That's pretty sick, right? If you are thinking like, okay, it's early, I'm on tier 3, I've got like 5 other units on my board, I put this Orca first, I attack with it, it survives, it gets attacked, it dies, my whole board gets +2/+2. That's pretty massive tempo. Like that's a really good card to pick up early. And then we've also seen that there's self-damage in, so then this is a nice tempo card early, and then also builds into the self-damage stuff quite nicely. So seems like a really strong new card. Rabbit Panther. After you play a beast, give your beasts 3/3 and then deal 1 damage to them. So we already see a little bit of synergy here. This also introduces a really cool new element to beasts that we haven't seen before. You get rewarded for playing cards, which is usually more an elemental thing or a murloc thing or pirate thing. Beasts don't really do that. Beasts are much more, I'm going to play my stuff and then do combat things. So now you get to play cards during the Tavern phase, activate your self-damage mechanics, such as Lasher and the bird. And you also just get a buff from this because it's +3/+3. So now you can do like Bran Beast APM stuff, which, you know, anything that can fit a Bran makes me happy. Here we go. This is another part of why you would want a Bran. Battlecry, discover a beast. Now, that is very strong. That is a tier 4 that discovers something. So generally speaking, we don't really have that because that's essentially scope on a tier 4 that you can combo with Bran. Now, beasts don't really have a bunch of economy, so it's not gonna be like crazy where you go, right, oh, I got the Tiger Shark into another money card and then I go. So usually, let's say if you were playing Tavern Tempest, imagine if Tavern Tempest was discover an elemental, right? You can discover Selemental or you can discover Refreshing Anomaly, and that would be ridiculous. Beasts don't really do that. Beasts, it's more, I'm collecting my pieces, which is still really good, by the way. Like, you can use Tiger Shark to get more self-damage payoff, and just playing the Tiger Shark is going to trigger the Rabbit Panther. So very, very strong package. Really looks like a lot of fun to play Beast. Then we have a new 7-drop. We saw a lot of 7s rotating out, make space for new ones. After you summon a minion in combat, give it this minion's stats, 3 times per combat. So the way it's worded seems that it's not the maximum stats, but the stats the Kodo has at the time. But if you have a taunt, right, usually they're not hitting your Kodo, so that should be okay. I mean, this can be very good. Obviously, it's a 7-drop, so that makes sense. It depends on how easy it is to make a huge Kodo, right? We've seen some AoE buff mechanics, but can you set up a Mutinous, right? That's really how this is going to be broken. If it is broken, it's just, can you Mutinous and make a huge Kodo? And then you play one mount, and then the mount dies, and now you have 4 of those stats, basically. Especially if you can golden the Kodo, and you have a huge Mutinous play on it, then now you summon things that are twice as big as a Kodo. So similar, a little like AFK Buddy, nowhere near as broken because AFK Buddy does it over and over, but still very strong if you get a Mutinous, right? Little difficult to set up, but that's probably what I would want to do with this. Oh man, Aranasi Alchemist. This is so strong. It's Taunt Reborn, so that's already really good because that's a death rattle effect, right? Give minions in the Tavern 1 health this game. So this is kind of like Rylak Felemental without having to get 2 cards, right? It's just like, oh, I just have Rylak Felemental in 1 card. Now, yes, it's not going to give damage, so that is a huge downside. Rylak Felemental gives full pump, but that's, I mean, you'll take that, right? As a 1/2, but it's a 3-drop. You can just get this super early, like turn 4, turn 5. You can have 2 of these and you can gain like 4 health to your Tavern at a pretty low cost. And then, you know, you get your Urzel or you get your Furious Driver, which we saw is back, even Felbat. Yeah, usually whenever you see a new card have like no stats at all, which is essentially this card, the effect is really strong because they just like, they tried to nerf it by making it a weaker stat line. But yeah, this seems really good to pick up early. Flaming Enforcer is already a payoff for this as well. At the end of your turn, consume the highest health minion in the Tavern. So it's like the Imp, but it can't miss. That's quite good. Seems like a perfect card to pick up after you've picked up the Alchemist. Then Twilight Hatchling, also known as Scallywag. Death Rattle summons a 3/3 whelp that attacks immediately. That's fun. They're bringing Scallywag back, but it's a dragon. That's the whelp token. Whelp Watcher, Rally, summon a 3/3 whelp to attack the first target, or to attack the target first. So if the 3/3 ends up killing it, your Whelp Watcher doesn't attack into it, which is nice. It doesn't take damage. So yeah, I mean, like, decent early tempo for sure. Broodmother, Death Rattle, summon 2 Twilight Hatchlings and give them Taunt. Twilight Hatchling is this little thing. So that's essentially a dragon that then spawns another dragon that then spawns another dragon. Yeah, that's going to be highly synergistic with some of the stuff we're about to see. That seems like, yeah, that's a good card in that archetype. Because we have Stunt Drake as a payoff. Avenge 3, give this minion's attack to 2 different friendly minions. So if you can get this a lot of attack, then you're gonna have 3 of these little whelps suicide, which is quite easy to do if you have like Titus, right? You can increase these death rattles. It's very similar to Scallywag. But the attack is not gonna go on the whelps, I'm guessing, because it's just gonna go on your board. So it's just gonna like buff your Titus and buff all the stuff in the back line. I'm not sure yet how that functions, because when you had Scallywag, that was it was buffing with Eliza, so it made your tokens bigger and it made your whole board bigger. When you had the Cruise Controller, it made your Scallywag tokens bigger so that they dealt more damage. I'm not exactly sure if this is gonna work as well. Now, this is probably something you just have to see in action, and they're gonna be like, oh, of course, it's good, right? So we'll have to see, but I'm not used to this, so I'm not entirely sure what's gonna happen if I just give this attack to 2 other friendly minions. Like, I probably have this like really high damage Titus. That's what I'm guessing. Spirit Drake is another nice one. It's an Avenge card, so you put that in the back as well, and you get a random Tavern spell. So you can farm a handful of Tavern spells if you have a lot of these whelps attacking and suiciding like the Scallywags. Then we have a new elemental card, Waveling. So it's a death rattle. After the Tavern is refreshed, give the rightmost minion 3/3. So that's going to be their new mechanic. You see, that's really a recurring theme for elementals. They buff the rightmost minion, and then you can do stuff like eat it with Urzel, or eat it with the elemental demon that we just saw that always eats the biggest one, so it can't miss. So you always eat the rightmost. Or you can just buy it if it's huge. So yeah, this is decent tempo as well, where you get a 6/1. If that then dies, then next turn you get +3/+3 on the thing on the right. But then you don't really want to buy random garbage because it's big early in the game. So yeah, we'll have to see exactly how that plays out. Acid Rainfall is a huge payoff for what we just saw. After you refresh 3 times, gain the stats of the rightmost minion, and then if it's golden, you get double. So yeah, that's Refreshing Anomaly, Brand, just roll, 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 eat, 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 roll, 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 eat, eat, eat. So this is likely going to be pretty ridiculous. This is going to get huge, right? So if you want to get a huge minion, Acid Rainfall is perfect for that. So maybe a good Mutinous target to put on the Kodo that we just saw earlier, but it's quite a pivot. But you know, anything that benefits from having a huge minion, Rainfall is going to be a good way to do that. Air Revenant. After you spend 7 gold, get Easterly Winds. Easterly Winds is this spell. After the Tavern is refreshed, give the rightmost minion 5/5. So that's just going to cost for this huge right side, which is going to make your Acid Rainfall better. So these things do not give you economy, but it's still pretty decent to have on the board, right? It's your buffing engine. You'll just need economy, which is, you know, usually Brand, and you play Tavern Tempest and Refreshing Anomaly and stuff. Engine Blazer is after the Tavern is refreshed, give your rightmost minion 6/6. So with a Brand 12/12, that seems fine. It's one of those things that you can do when you have a lot of money. I don't think I want to play a bunch of these when I don't have a lot of money yet, because my turn is over then, because this doesn't give you any economy. It's just purely buffing. But if you are just up and running and you have lots of money, then it seems quite nice to play this and just get a huge boost for your Acid Rainfall. Then the new Elemental Tier 7 is Stone Age Slab. Once per turn, double the stats on the next minion you buy. So that is entirely geared towards this, you know, this buff your rightmost minion, and then when you have the Stone Age Slab, it's doubled. Trying to think how good that is. That, I mean, double is, you know, that's a nice bonus. But I'm thinking, is that, am I super happy with that as my 7-drop? Like, Arcane Behemoth is obviously way stronger because it's like super abusable, but that doesn't mean that this is bad, right? The problem is that you are buying a random card. So it's almost like you have to buy it to then eat it, right? With Mutinous, or I think Avalanche is still in the game, so you can Avalanche it. Yeah, I guess you can Avalanche it. That's fair. So let's say your rightmost has like a plus 100/100 buff on it. This gives it 200/200, and then you can Avalanche put it on a cleave or something. Yeah, that's fair. Okay, then mechs are very exciting. There's so many new mech cards. Auto Accelerator is Battlecry, get a Magnetic Volumizer. Now, what are Volumizers? Here they are. We got the red Volumizer, the blue Volumizer, and the green Volumizer, and they all do a pretty similar thing. Reds give you plus attack. So it's a little like Pogo Hopper, where when you play a Volumizer, your future Volumizers are better. So if you play a red one, they all get 3 attack more. Blue one, they get 3 health more, and the green one is +1/+1. So you'd rather play more just red and blue because it's more efficient than going 1/1, but you know, we'll take the green. And now we're going to see all kinds of ways to play more Volumizers. So this is the Conveyor Construct, Death Rattle, get a random Magnetic Volumizer. That seems great to get early because that gives you economy, because you can still play the Volumizer and then sell it, and that still counts for the effect. So you can use it as a coin, or you can just magnetize it. So seems like a great early mech to get. Apex's Guardian, Death Rattle, magnetize a, well, it says 0/0, but like it's gonna get bigger, I guess, as you magnetize more. Green Volumizer to 3 other friendly mechs. So at first glance, you might look at that and be like, okay, well, that's combat. How much does that matter? That seems broken to me, because here is the problem, right? It's not limited by hand space. So you can get more than 10, right? If you have like a golden Apex's Guardian, that means you're already magnetizing 6, right? Volumizers. Now, keep in mind, every time you magnetize a Volumizer, your future Volumizers get bigger. So that's a huge amount of buffs that you're gaining in combat. Now, you can use Macaw with this. You can Reborn this. You can have Titus. You can have multiple Titus. You can get like an absurd amount of Volumizers in one combat. So the tempo is through the roof. So especially if you have Conveyor Construct on your board as well with the Titus, and it has Reborn, not only do you get a bunch of buffs during the fight, you also get a handful of Volumizers. That seems so silly to me. So that's a bit of a scary one for day one. So I would say, you know, it's obviously hard to call if you haven't played with it yet, but this just feels very straightforward, strong. So I think, you know, Conveyor Construct on the board, Apex's Guardian on the board, Reborn on everything, Titus on the board, Macaw for the Apex's Guardian, Taunt on these guys. Let's go. It's going to be like Pogo Hopper Extreme. So have fun with that. Junk Jouster, whenever a minion is magnetized, give your minion stream. That seems like an excellent extra card to have on the board. when you're magnetizing in combat, this will be magnetized if it's one of your 3 mechs. So then your whole board is getting all these buffs. And then after you get all the, the volumizers in your hand from the guy here, the construct, you can then put them all on the junk jouster, and then your whole board gets big, even your Titus. So yeah, seems very silly for day one. Like, probably gonna use some nerfs, right? In this department, right? Probably some nerfs. Avenge 3, get a random magnetic volumizer. Not quite as good as this one, I would say, because this is, you can reborn this and Titus and Macaw and stuff. This is a little harder, but sure, you can have it on the board early and then either, keep it or sell it, depending on how your game goes. Then the new tier 7 is double demolisher. Your magnetizations happen twice. That seems great if you're playing volumizer comp. So yeah, super happy to put that on the board. That's a lot of magnetization. So that scales so incredibly well with the volumizers. Prehistoric Tinkerer Divine Shield. After the Tavern is refreshed, give the rightmost minion Divine Shield. That seems like it's a little bit of a cross synergy with the elemental stuff, where you can play this, and then with maybe the Stone Age slap, you can buy this huge Divine Shield unit, but it's random. So I don't know. It seems a little too random for me. I'm not sure. I don't really rate it. Now we have new Murlocs as well. Expert Aviator is a rally base skill, essentially. Give the leftmost minion in your hand 1/1 and summon it for this combat only. Now it says minion, not Murloc. So here we go, summoning Leroy again. Well, probably not, because it's a rally instead of death rattle, and you need to have board space when this attacks, so probably not. But still, a little scary, but probably not a problem, just because there's a lot of restrictions on this. It seems like it's just a nice little boost for early game hand buff Murlocs, and we've seen a lot of support for hand buff, where Begurgle and stuff is now targeting the hand as well. Oh man, but this one. Costume Enthusiast. Divine Shield, start of combat, gain the stats of the highest attack minion in your hand. I looked at this card and I'm like, so this is Coral on tier 4 with a Divine Shield. What the hell? So similar to Goldrin getting all those buffs, it's like, play hand buff Murloc. You will play hand buff Murloc. Here. Now they can't not play hand buff Murloc. There's Corals on tier 4, and we've put eyes back in the game, so it's gonna get double the stats. It's just huge. I don't know what else I have to say about this, bro. It's Coral on tier 4 with Divine Shield. Like, have fun, go nuts. Hand buff Murloc, yay, let's go. that's gonna be strong, obviously. Then Drama Lock. Death Rattle, give 2 other friendly Murlocs the stats of the highest attack minion in your hand. Again, right? Nutty. You play this with Titus and you have a huge Bream in your hand. Bam, right? You buff your board. You can even do Amalgam with Poet and remember the stats, right? Which is kind of crazy. And then in duos, you can portal that minion back to your hand, and then that minion is huge. Oh, dude, I just made a duo strategy. That's a thing, right? Drama Lock, make a huge Amalgam with Poet, then put the Amalgam in your hand, play another Amalgam, buff that one up, and then just portal it every turn, right? Like when it gets huge. There you go. You can thank me later, duos people. That's the strat. Now, in solos, you can't just like pick it up, right? You would have to do something weird, like you'd have to triple it. It's a headache. But still, good tempo. And if you have an Amalgam, that's a lot of permanent scaling. Seems like a crazy buff to hand, like so much tempo for hand buff Murlocs, essentially. Then the new tier 7 Murloc. Oh my god, bro. This is crazy. Like, Murlocs definitely have a lot of good seasons. Now, they were still pretty good now, right? With the end of turn Murkai. But hand buff Murloc hasn't really been a thing for a little bit. But Future Fin really helps with that. At the end of your turn, give this minion's stats to the leftmost minion in your hand. Now, we have just seen AFK Buddy Dominance, which was essentially, I make a big AFK Buddy, that buffs another minion, then I mutant as that minion back onto my AFK Buddy. My AFK Buddy is now huge. I can make an even larger minion and then eat it again, and you just repeat that until you're in the millions. Future Fin is like AFK Buddy, but better, because this is what happens. At the end of your turn, give this minion's stats to the leftmost minion in your hand. So first of all, that is already more protected versus Leroy's and stuff, because you can keep that in your hand and summon that with base skill. So now the minion that was big is not on the board to begin with, so it's a little bit harder to scam. But that's like a smallish benefit. The huge benefit comes in here. I have Drama Lock, so I can duplicate those stats during combat. And if I have that Poet Amalgam set up, I can make it permanent. And then I can Mutinous the Amalgam on top of the Future Fin and do it again. And I have Costume Enthusiast, so if I want to go all in, I can just start playing Costume Enthusiast. And now that huge minion in my hand is getting duplicated with a Divine Shield, and maybe twice as large if my Costume Enthusiast is gold. So you can see those like stats. Like, now it is a tier 7, and anomalies are out, so it's not like you're going to play tier 7 anomaly. So the only way that I know you can get tier 7s is Thorim and the new Timewarp Scout, which we're going to talk about very shortly. So this seems like incredibly strong, but rare. But so if you have the option to go Future Fin, go Future Fin, because it seems incredibly strong. So luckily it's going to be rare, right? At least from what I can tell, you're not going to be able to spam 7-drops. This is definitely not something you're going to see every lobby. But when people get it, it's going to feel unfair. Like, this is like stupid strong. Have fun. All right, then Wave Rider isn't new. This is a returning card, but that's okay, right? A little bit jumbled with the slides. This is just a Wind Fury option. So we're going to see some cool Wind Fury things coming in where, oh, it'd be nice if I could give that Wind Fury. Oh, here you go. Hey, look, it's something that would be nice if you could give Wind Fury. Profound Thinker is a rally Naga, so you can give a Wind Fury. And it says, get a spellcraft, a random spellcraft, and cast a copy of it. Targets this if possible. So ideally deep blue, right? You attack, you get a spellcraft in your hand to use for next turn, and if it's something that you can cast on this minion, like deep blue or taunt or the refriffer buff, that seems nice, right? So anytime you can generate extra stuff. So this seems like a really fun card to get on tier 3, and I'm all for that. I love these feel good cards, like, oh, I get this early, I get a little bit of a boost, like super fun. Here we have Sunken Advocate, which is also a rally Naga. Give your other Nagas +1 attack permanently, and this improves by each spell you cast this turn. So if you, say, play 5 spells, this now is rally +6 attack permanently to your Nagas. When I first looked at this, I was like, this is broken, this is insane tempo. But then I read, oh, it has to be a Naga board. So that's not quite as common, because when we think back of something like Volcanic Visitor, this is a good example of that. Playing Volcanic Visitor and giving your whole board 2 attack permanently was insane. Super tempo. Also a 4-drop. Very, and it's not easy to get +2 attack out of this thing because you just need to cast 1 spell. You can do that. So you can easily cast more if you have like Zesties on the board and stuff. So I think if you do end up with a full Naga board and then you have this card, it's crazy good. But I would still prefer Volcanic Visitor, seeing as I can have whatever on my board, which is far more common. It's far more common to have a mixed board than to have a full Naga board. But if for whatever reason you were able to start full Naga, this is really good tempo. Especially if you can get like a Divine Shield on a Lava Lurker or something, or you just have a Divine Shield Naga on your board. This is going to make you win a lot of fights. Then the craziest new Naga stuff, Bluesy Siren. Whenever a friendly Naga attacks, cast Deep Blues for +2/+3 on it 3 times per combat. That scales your Deep Blues, right? That's silly. So whenever a friendly Naga attacks, cast Deep Blues on it. Now it says +2/+3, but it stands to reason that this is going to scale as well. So the in-combat buff is still going to give you lots of tempo. But it's not going to be permanent unless, you have like a Poet and an Amalgam, which again, you can do. But the main thing here is that the scaling of the D blues, so advancing your D blue, is going to be permanent. That's really nice because D blue is already, I would say, borderline viable in endgame boards. Now we are going to lose Rat Scale, which was a pretty significant part of D blue. Rat Scale gave you huge attack on your D blues, but this means that you can have like 2 Bluesy Sirens in the back and then attack and have your Zesty and your D blue, and that's really good scaling. The one downside is that Naga is pretty difficult to fit all the board space because you want to get as many Zesties as possible. You want to make sure you have a D blue. You probably want to have a Lava Lurker, so it's harder to fit, but still really cool and I think powerful addition to Naga. Then we have another returning card. This one's not new either. It's Surf and Surf. This gives you a spellcraft that makes something a death rattle. Now we have seen some avenge stuff already with the Nest Matron and the Green Thumb, so this always was a really nice thing to pick up early. Also disgusting on Terron, where you can throw, let's say 2 of these on a minion, and then you tear on it, and then you get 2 extra crabs at the start of combat. Disgusting. But this is also very, very specifically good with the Zoth Buddy, because Surf and Surf allows you to death rattle any card, and then the Zoth Buddy goldens it. So if for whatever reason you get your hands on the Zoth Buddy, I'm not even sure if that's going to be possible this season, but just so you know, you can golden anything. So there you go. Quite a powerful mechanic. Then Briny Bootlegger is back, but it's different. So instead of being end of turn now, it's Death Rattle, get a Tavern coin. You also don't need to have another friendly pirate on the board, so that's quite cool. But yeah, you can see that there's more ways to get Tavern coins now. So this is a perfectly, it's a really nice 3-drop to pick up early. Extra money is always nice. Minted Corsair, when you sell this, get a Tavern coin. Did we lose Busker? I'm actually not 100% sure. I should go back and check, but if not, we have 2 economy pirates on turn on tier 1. That's actually really nice. That's great. It's very in theme for pirates though. So yeah, when you sell this, get a Tavern coin. I mean, that's great. So it's not quite as good as having a Tavern coin, but it means that when you sell this, you'll have an extra coin that you can spend wherever, which is still very nice. Industrious Deckhand, at the start of your turn, get 2 Tavern coins. Again, that is great. Early game, anytime we have minions that make more stuff, we love it. So yeah, not as good as Bigwig. I would say Bigwig was just a thing that just kept getting bigger because it just buffed itself, but hey, we will take coins. Then Visionary Shipman is another APM option. After you gain gold 5 times, get a random Tavern spell. So essentially what this means is after you sell 5 minions, or just start of turn gain gold, or after you coin 5 times, and we've seen a lot of options to get extra coin, you get a random Tavern spell. So probably what you want is you want to have Tethys, and you want to have Visionary Shipman, and then you want to spend a bunch of gold, get a bunch of pirates, sell these pirates, get coins, sell coins, get random Tavern spells from the shipman. And then those Tavern spells give you more gold, and you can use that gold to spend more gold with Tethys, and then you get more pirates, and the cycle continues, hopefully infinitely. So this is a little bit like Seafarer, where buying cards, spending gold is gonna get you Tavern spells. So very fun mechanic, very, very cool to go infinite like this. Cannon Corsair is a huge payoff for pirates. After you gain gold, give your pirates 1/2. So pirates seem very straightforward in the new meta, where you play Tethys, you play Visionary Shipman, you play Cannon Corsair, and then you just buy and sell as much stuff as you can, and your board gets big while you're doing it. So that's also very user-friendly. This is not a very difficult APM strategy where we have to constantly think about, okay, how am I going to do this? How am I going to scale? This is just like, okay, spend money, go, 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 and your whole board gets big. You just have to run pirates, maybe you put a cleave or so. So yeah, seems like a lot of fun to do. Plankwalker, whenever you cast a Tavern spell, give 3 random friendly minions +2/+1. Yeah, this is straight up in there. You can add this to your board for scaling, because you're going to get a lot of Tavern spells from your shipman and then from your Tavern coins that you're generating. Seems like an excellent addition when you're doing a lot of buffing. There's also a tier 4, so if you have a lot of money, you can use Eyes of the Earth Mother on this, and now you're getting +4/+2 on 3 random friendly minions. So yeah, seems like a lot of fun, pirates. And then for Quillborer, we have a new Pain Smudger. So it's also not quite a new card, but it may as well be, right? It's like tier 6. It's quite a big overall. Whenever you cast a Tavern spell, this plays a Blood Gem on 3 friendly minions. So yeah, pretty significant, where if you are able to generate a lot of Tavern spells, which we've already seen, there's more support for that in this particular season. You get to play a Blood Gem on 3 friendly minions, and we all know you can make your Blood Gems bigger, so this could get out of hand quite quickly, where you have something like Quillborer APM, where maybe you have a Bran, which makes it a bit easier to generate a lot of Tavern spells. And this might even be a good payoff, where this might scale faster. You might even run Visionary Shipman to generate Tavern spells, and then use the Pain Smudger to buff, because this says play a Blood Gem on 3 friendly minions. It doesn't even say Quillborer. So you could run this as your payoff. If you can buff your gems, you can run something like Tethys plus Shipman and Pain Smudger. Now, Pain Smudger is probably going to be pretty good in pure Quillborer as well, because we're going to see that there's lots of ways to play Tavern spells. Quilled Cabbie. After the Tavern is refreshed, this plays 2 Blood Gems on the rightmost minion. So early game, this seems quite fine to pick up because let's say on turn 3 you buy this. That means that on turn 4, as a Tavern refreshes, you have +2/+2 on the rightmost minion, which likely makes it better than your average thing to buy, even if it's not quite that good to begin with, because +2/+2. So seems like an okay minion to pick him on turn 3, and after that it's kind of like whatever, I would say, because after that point we don't really want to buy random stuff just because it has +2/+2. And then we have Razorfen Flapper. This says Death Rattle, get a Bludgeon Barrage. Now what is a Bludgeon Barrage? It's a pretty crazy new Quillbore mechanic where when you cast it, it buffs the entire shop equal to your gems, which can either be your gem buffs as we know it, right? So you've played Piper, you've played Jazzer, and your gems are like +10/+10. Your whole shop gets +10/+10. Or if you have spell power, it also scales with that. Now, the crazy thing here is that it doesn't just buff your current shop, it says this game. So it means every time you refresh, the shop is buffed. So it's a little bit like just regular shop buffing with your staff, where now your shop is just huge. So what that means is that you can get a crazy big shop, right? Because you can get a lot of these Blood Gem Barrages. So if you have, let's say, 5 of these and you buff your shop now just got +50/+50. And we saw that you can gem transfer in the shop. So you can now target the shop with gem transfer. So you can condense these stats a bit easier. And you can have something like Felbor to eat that huge minion with. You can have Urzel to eat the shop. So I'm not quite sure on this yet. It might seem stronger than it is, but it seems a little silly because we know that it's somewhat easy to buff up your gem buffs if you get going. Easier than spell power from what I guess that's not true. It depends on the game you have. But it seems like you can get more Blood Gem Barrages than you can get staffs to buff the shop, and you just get crazy numbers. So this to me seems like we're just going to get crazy Quillbore numbers, which is good, right? In a way, because we've seen some cool stuff already where we say like, oh, you know, like mechs are going to be crazy with volumizers, and then there's Murlocs with the hand buff. So, you know, throw in some more OP and then, you know, let's duke it out. And then after a week or two, they're just going to nerf and it's more balanced. Then we have Briarback Drummer, which is Battle Cry, get a Bludgeon Barrage. Now, Death Rattle generally a little easier because you can keep it on your board. You can use Tidus, you can use Macaw, so you can get a handful of these, right? Like, it doesn't take that much. All right, you get this golden with Macaw and Tidus, and there you go, you're almost there. This thing with a brand, you can just play it, get a bunch of Bludgeon Barrages. But yeah, so this is all just like buff your shop, buff your shop, buff your shop. Then we have Trench Fighter, which gives you end of turn a gem confiscation, which is super useful because there's going to be lots of gems in the shop. So this way you can even, like, let's say you roll a Quillbore that you wanted to buy, you can put it in the middle, cast the gem confiscation, and now it's, you know, it got 3 times as many stats essentially. And then you can just put that on your board straight away. Or you can use it to make your eat better, or you can just gem confiscation on your own board, the way like we always did it. So seems like a really nice Quillbore to get. Then we have another reworked card. We have Ghoul of the Feast, which used to be a 3-drop, but now it's Avenge 1. Give a friendly minion of each type 1/2 permanently. So that may as well be a new card. That's quite a rework. That seems like a great tempo option early on. So a little bit like your Monstrosity. This is now Avenge 1. So every time something dies, which is easier than a rally, you get +1/+2 on all types. So if you have like 3 types in the back and a bunch of Avenge in the front, that's quite a lot of tempo. So it seems like a great card to triple into early. A Soul Splitter is back. So that is your Reborn option for this season. Pretty strong if you have it golden, because then it's 2 things that are getting reborn, and the fact that it's reborn itself means if you have a lot of attack on your undead, this is super powerful. Spellbound Soul is a new card. You have +2/+1 for each Tavern spell you've cast this game. This is similar to the Fungus that we saw in the past. It was a neutral card, and it was just big no matter where. So this is one of those things where now you're going to want to cycle coin every time you can because it buffs your Spellbound Soul. So it's a good habit to just cast spells if it's free anyway. And then you can either eat this or have this on your board. It's going to be quite powerful to reborn this because it's going to come back with its full stats, or at least its full Tavern spell buff stats, because it always has this. So yeah, seems like a cool little thing to add. Sepulchral Sergeant? Not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Death Rattle, give your minions +2 health. Improves permanently after this gain's attack. So I don't know exactly what the meta is going to be with this yet, if there is going to be a meta with it. But if you can bump this up very easily, where it gets a lot of attack, now you can gem it or something, but that seems a little too weird. I think you'd have to buff this within Undead. You can still do something with like Macaw and Titus, and then suddenly you get a huge health Undead board, if you're able to get this buff up quickly. So yeah, not sure. Seems like it's got potential, so keep my eye out for this. Embalming Expert, after the Tavern is refreshed, give the rightmost minion reborns. Yeah, there's this theme where they do a lot of rightmost buffing. So you can even do something where you have this guy on the board, and then the guy that buffs the Tavern, and then the guy that gives shield, and then you just roll, and you end up with this like big shielded reborn Leroy, and you're like, aha, finally. Probably not. It's gonna be too awkward, too weird, but you know, you could run this in the late game, put it on your board, and just roll and hope you hit a Belcher or hope you hit a Leroy, and then you have a reborn. That seems so toxic to do. But if you have a lot of money and you're like playing APM, Murlocs, or whatever, you're like, let me just play it and see if I hit. Not really what they had in mind, but it's one of the things where it's like that video where everything goes in the square hole, where the top players are like, everything goes in the Leroy. Like, anyways, seems okay early on as well, because you can just play it as a 2-drop, and then, you know, similar to the Quillboard that buffs the shop, you can just on turn 4 buy something with Reborn. Forsaken Weaver is the new 6-drop. After you cast a Tavern spell, your undead have +1 attack this game. So that seems like an easy way to buff the Sergeant, where you have this on your board, you have the Weaver on your board, and then you farm a lot of Tavern spells, cast it, get a lot of attack. And then we know that undead with a lot of attack, you know, just play something like Hand of the Forsaken or Handless or whatever it's called, and you just get a lot of tokens that way. Wintergrasp Ghoul is new. It's a tier 5. Death Rattle, get a Tomb Turning. So again, with Macaw, with Titus, with Reborn, you can get a lot of Tomb Turnings. And this is what it is. You discover an undead, but it dies if you play this turn. So that's a double-edged sword, because sometimes you're going to be very happy that it dies because it has a death rattle, and you're like, oh wow, I can trigger this immediately. I can just play it. Like, for instance, if you could get a ghoul, right? You should be able to generate a ghoul from this, right? So then if you get a ghoul, it's like a redo. You could play it, it dies, you get a Tomb Turning. But if you get a minion that you actually want to keep, then you have to wait 1 turn before you can play it. Now, I have already checked with the devs. If you triple with this, it will not die. So at least, you know, that's what they told me. So don't blame me if day 1 it doesn't work. But that's you should be safe. Where if you find a triple, you could play it and it won't die. Because that would be so heartbreaking, right? Because like, oh, you can't play your golden card this turn. So it seems like a great setup, right? You can get lots of value from like either just tripling stuff or getting death rattle value. So it seems like a nice card to have early to farm. Ghostly Imirjar. Avenge 4, get a free refresh. If this wasn't a 2-drop, I'd be like, but it's a 2-drop, so you can buy it early. It's a 2/5. That line is fine, and then you might get a free refresh or 2 out of this in the early game, and then you might golden it and then keep it on your board for a while, farm a lot of free refreshes, get your comp going. So I like that they're sticking this effect on an early game minion so that you don't have to go out of your way to buy it later. I like that. Then we have a new 7-drop, Psychus. Start of combat, set this minion's attack and health to match the highest on the battlefield. It's got some Agent Braggart vibes to it, but it's start of combat, so it's not a battle cry, so you can't repeatedly trigger it. Yep, that's just like a Joker thing where, oh, I have a big minion, let me just copy it, or my opponent has a big minion, let me just copy it. So kind of an interesting thing where, if let's say if you have 1 big unit and your opponent has double Psychus, you actually you should actually sell your biggest unit because you're feeding them, which is kind of crazy how that works. Yeah. I keep a raw, Death Rattle, and Rally, get a random tier 6. Yeah, that seems one of those cards like Varian where you just want to get that early and then later on it's kind of whatever. Now Varian you can still cycle later on, but this guy you need to have on board, so better than Varian if you get it early, most likely. Varian was discovered, this is random, but you can milk this, right? So you can get multiple procs, so it should be better than Varian, but worse than Varian later on because you can't just cycle it for a quick, you know, check for the 6-drops. The last one standing, Rally, give a friendly minion of each type 7/7 permanently. That's Giga Tempo if you get it early. That's a huge Rally boost. kind of whatever later on, I'd say. I'm thinking, I guess if you can somehow duplicate this, if Voon gets this and copies it and just has a bunch of last one standings, yeah, that's pretty silly, because then you can just have this guy buffing this guy, basically, where you have a board, well, not full of these, but if you have a couple of these, it gets a lot better very quickly. So you can also Wind Fury this, because it is an amalgam, so you can add... wait, I think they've removed the Wind Fury Magnetic and the Dragon, so I'm not sure if it's that easy to Wind Fury this. Oh, let me know in the comments. Maybe like just Alec here or something, but sure. All right, whatever. Oh, there's Naga. There's Naga Wind Fury. There you go. Naga Spellcraft Wind Fury. That works. Gets significantly better with Wind Fury, right? Twice as good, one might say. Then we have Heroic Underdog. Stealth, Rally, gain the target's attack. That's like a Venom kind of, right? Where when it attacks, it gains the target's attack. But it also has 10 health, so if you get it early, it can value trade. So seems like kind of whatever. It's like a neutral, right? It's like, it's okay, I guess. 10 health is a lot though. So if you get it early, that can definitely value trade. Worgen Executive. Rally, after the Tavern is refreshed this game, give the rightmost minion 1/1. Yeah, another one of those cards that if you get it early, that seems fine because you can get some buffs. Don't really want to go out of my way to get this effect later on, but it's fine to pick it up on tier 2. Arcadis. Battlecry, get a random tier 5 minion. Oh, more brand support. I love it. Yeah, well, Beacon is out, so this is like a shittier Beacon because you don't discover, but it's always active. So you could cycle this no matter what if you have a brand, assuming you have the time. And then, you know, sometimes you're going to get like Panda from this. Sometimes you're going to get an extra brand. So it seems like a super fun card to cycle if you have brand. Yeah, looking forward to that. Then we have new spells as well. Search through time. Discover a minion of your tier, lock it in your hand for 1 turn. So a little bit like Maiev, where you have to wait until you can do it, but it is a 2 gold and you discover of your tier. So if you do it on tier 5, tier 6, that can be quite the bonus. And even if you cast it, like let's say you level to tier 3 and then cast Search Through Time, that means next turn you get to play a 3-drop. That's still really solid. Seems like a fun thing to pick up. Brood of Nosdormu is a tier 5 spell for 2 gold. Start of combat, double your leftmost minion's attack. That seems very specific. So maybe Cleave, maybe with Poet. Yeah, I don't know yet. 2 gold seems a lot, so I'd have to have a very specific reason to do this. Wave of Gold. So 2 gold, give your minions +3/+2. Give golden ones another 3/2. So spell power, essentially. And then this is like Azurite in a way for your golden units. So, it's a little tempo boost, sure. Hand of Deos is a new tier 6 one. Start of combat, trigger a random friendly battle cry, death rattle, and rally. Okay, there's absolutely some stuff here where you can have double battle cry or double death rattle if you have Moira on your board. And then you trigger this. Yeah, I don't know exactly what it's going to be, but you can cook with this. This is one of those things where there's so many options and things you can combine because you have rallies and stuff. Like, yeah, I'm not going to go over everything, but this seems like you can absolutely use this to great effect. And then lastly, we have Leaf Through the Pages, which was removed because of Lubber, where it was too easy to go infinite. But looks like they changed it where it now you gain 2 free refreshes for 1 gold. So that's +1 gold, assuming that you're rolling. So if you're rolling anyway, then you could pick this up to get 2 rolls, which is pretty good. It's a little bit of an economy boost. And we're going to see that there is a way to get Lubber in the Timewarp Tavern. So that does, that does open up some cool stuff. Now let's talk about all the new Timewarped cards. So these are definitely the most exciting and the craziest ones. So let's dive right in. We've got Timewarped Jelly, which is after a friendly minion is reborn, give your minions 1/2 permanently. Now there's so many Timewarp minions. I'm not going to go super in depth into all of them, but the effects are generally going to sound really powerful, because these are minions that you can get a lot of, right? So this costs 2 chronums, which means that you can, you buy this jelly and then your Timewarp Tavern turn is over and you just go into your normal turn 6 and you get to play the game. I mean, this is obviously good, right? So all of them are going to look pretty good. This is decent tempo, I would say, right? So if you have a board of Reborns, yeah, I mean, that's a perfectly good way to then power level afterwards. Dead Swarmer gives you 1 attack to your undeads every time this takes damage. And again, like, a lot of the Timewarp cards are going to sound really good. So there's definitely going to be some that stand out, so I'm going to pay extra attention to that. Yeah, this is, again, like, if you have a board of undead, yeah, sure. Absolutely. 2 Chronums, right? So you can see that. Recycler is Avenge 6, and you get essentially Strike Oil. Now, Avenge 6 is a lot, so you need to get a very specific board for it. But if you can essentially guarantee it, then sure. If you can't guarantee it, then I don't really want it, right? So I'm gonna want something like Sewer Rat or Taunt Reborn, and then a lot of other Avenge fodder. But it does feel like you're gonna run into quite some tempo from other boards. So it might be a bit of a mismatch where you take Recycler, and then you have this weak Avenge board, and then you fight someone like, for instance, that has a Jelly that it gets tempo. You're going to take a lot of damage. So as much as I want to like this, I think it's going to be a little too slow. But who knows, right? We'll have to see. Then we have Timewarp Pillager. That does seem way faster, where you get a coin when this dies, and then it reborns, and you get another coin. So it's essentially 2 coins per fight. That is solid. That's extra money, and you can then use that to power level, get to your stronger cards faster, and make up for the fact that you're not getting tempo from your Timewarp card. Embomber, it's a 9/9, and 1 minion you play each turn gets reborn. So this looks like a piece that you could actually keep. All of the pieces so far are a little bit whatever. I guess that's why you could maybe keep. But Embomber could stay on your board for a very long time, where every time you play a minion, the first every turn gets reborn. So yeah, there's obvious stuff like Reborn Belcher and Reborn Leroy later on. Everything goes into Leroy. But if you're going to hard commit into Undead, then this is obviously also really nice, where you can reborn your whole board. You can even do this with some kind of economy where you get extra value that way. So yeah, seems like that's definitely worth 2 Chronums. Fester Gut, Death Rattle, summon and gets a random undead creation. Ooh, I mean, that looks better than something like Pillager, because this is just a coin, and here you're getting a creation on the board for tempo, and you're also getting that creation in your hand. Now, that's going to be really random, but you're not stitching it together yourself, but that's still, you know, it still seems good. I think almost any of the early Timewarp stuff that gives you money is probably going to be at least pickable. Then we have our first 1 Chronum card. So this is a spellcraft that's permanent, because it doesn't say until next turn. So give a minion 2/2 for each friendly Naga. So let's say you have like 5 total. That's 10/10 permanently. Yeah, okay, right? Like, this is probably if you have a good 1-cost Chronum and you have some Nagas, you're like, okay, sure, I'll take these 2. So maybe like a 1-cost hero power change or a spell. Pashmar is Avenge 4. You get a random spellcraft and Tavern spell. So you would like to get at least 2 triggers out of this, and then you're getting 2 spellcrafts and 2 Tavern spells. That's some economy, yeah. I think they've done a good job where a lot of the Tavern, the Timewarp stuff has economy on it, so it seems pretty pickable. And then you could also just go with the huge tempo options and then just try to power level off that tempo. Timewarped Archer, yeah, I mean, I guess you could combo this with the Commander, where you're getting 12 attack permanently. So yeah, you can put that on a shield or a cleave. That's fine. Sapper, Taunt, Death Rattle get a Spite skill special. So essentially get 3 spellcrafts, but you can cash them in whenever because it's a Tavern spell, and you can fit way more in your hand now as well. So that's okay. It really depends on the kind of situation you're in. If you don't have an immediate payoff for casting spells, this is probably just not good enough, because it's 2 Chronums and it's not necessarily money, right? There's a lot of spellcrafts. Actually, the money spellcrafts are almost always later, and I think Silivos is out. So either way, it's a little, yeah, I don't think it's worth 2 Chronums. Timewarped Relaxer. When you sell this, it plays 1 blood gem on all your minions. So this is pretty much exclusively when you already have Piper and Jazzer and you already have some gem stats that you're going to gain, but that's quite some tempo, because you can keep this on your board for 2 or 3 turns and then sell it and get a huge gem buff. So again, I think the 1-cost Chronum cards, it's really when you have a good combination available. I think you're going to get offered 2 2-costs and 3 1-costs, so you can mix and match a little bit. So this is, I think the 1-cost Chronums, it's always going to depend, okay, what else is in the Tavern? Can I make a good combo or not? The Timewarp Piper, when this takes damage, your blood gems get an extra 1 attack this game, 3 times per combat. Okay, yeah, if you have a Quilver setup, yeah, I can definitely see this. That's gonna scale your attack very quickly. This seems like one of the better ones. Well, let me rephrase it. It seems like one of the ones that you can actually build around. We had the Embalmer earlier for Permanent Reborn. This seems like, okay, I can actually push Quillbore from here. The rest is a little bit more just economy or, you know, random tempo. Oh my lord. Okay. Yeah, I think we have something here. Timewarp, Thorncaller, Battlecry, and Death Rattle get a Bludgeon Barrage. So we talked about that earlier. Bludgeon Barrage, it permanently buffs the shop essentially. So when you play the Thorncaller, you're already getting one, and then every time it dies, you're getting another one. So if you have any kind of gem buffs, you're getting quite a big shop. Yeah, so this is hard to see, but this feels like another card that you can just play around, where if you have Macaw, you can trigger this over and over. Later on, you can get a Titus. You can keep this for quite a while. And yeah, this is all going to depend on, do you have some gem buffs, yes or no? But if you do, yeah, this looks really solid. The Timewarp Geomancer, Avenge 2, get a blood gem. Yeah, this seems like whatever. Yeah, this seems like the first one where I'm like, pass. Probably not good enough. Timewarp Jazzer, Death Rattle, your blood gems give an extra 1 health this game. 2 Chronums on that feels too slow, right? So we had Piper, which gives you 3 attack per combat, or up to 3 attack if it can survive, but you can gem this and taunt it and stuff. So the Jazzer is like, okay, Death Rattle, give my blood gems an extra 1 health. So that again can work, but you need to have Macaw ready. You need to have a very specific board for it, because 2 Chronums, that's a lot for something that most of the time is just 1 health per fight, right? Compare that to the economy we're gaining, or the Piper, or, you know, like the Sunbacon that you can just like sell for a huge boost. So yeah. Here's the Alley Cat I mentioned earlier. At the end of your turn, summon a Tabby Cat with this minion's stats. So that's a triple machine. So you pick that up on turn 6, and then you spawn one end of turn 6, 7, and 8, and that means turn 9, when a Timewarp Tavern turn happens. It's like, the thing with the Chronums. You'll have a triple ready. And it's not just a triple. If you can combine this with gems and buffs on the Alley Cat, you're actually getting quite some tempo from the Tabby. So again, it's going to be so hard to make predictions because there's so many new cards and completely new meta. But it seems very solid, where you just pick this up. It can be tempo because you can buff the Alley Cat and then get big Tabby Cats, and you're making a triple. So yeah, seems pretty much exactly what you want from your Time Warp, your first Time Warp. Yeah, my editor having some fun here. Oh no, chat. The frog. Turn, turn, turn. It's Time Warped, so it's even better. It's got Taunt, and it comes with Reborn. Death Rattle, give a friendly beast 1/1 in Death Rattle. And is Death Rattle, sorry. So it's like regular frogs where it's just like bleep, 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 bleep. It's tough because the issue with frogs is that if you pick it up early, you're gonna like try to make the build, right? So you are completely at the mercy of Bob because you're just like, I am frogs. Okay, I'm gonna roll 10 times, and if I don't hit Titus, I'm screwed, right? And that's not a great way to play the game, but that's not gonna stop people from doing it. So when you fight this and someone actually got the Titus and the Macaw, it's gonna feel bad because you're like, oh my god, frogs are back, this is so crazy. But I think most of the time when you take this, you die because you're like, oh, well, you know, now I just need to hit a combo build, and there's a lot of cards in the game and I might miss. So yeah, I don't think it's going to be a huge problem, simply because it's not like you can pivot into it. You have to take it really early. You have to commit to it on turn 6. Most of the time when you lose the frogs, it's because people pivoted into it. They're like, oh yeah, I've tied this, I can just roll for frog now and stuff. So yeah. Time Warp Boar, whenever every third friendly Time Warp Boar dies, get around them. That seems a bit too slow. We've seen a lot of stuff already that blows this out of the water, so this seems a little slow. Yeah, you can reborn it, but I don't know. It's like you need to have reborn essentially on the same turn already. And you go into the Timewarp Tavern first, so you don't know if you're gonna have reborn in your shop. So all right, Timewarped Sorlisk. After you trigger a Death Rattle, gain 3/3 permanent. Again, kind of whatever. Sure, if you have a board full of Death Rattles and Macaw, then yeah, we could take this, but seems highly situational, and we've seen a lot of better stuff. Whenever a friendly beast dies, gain 2/1 permanently. Yeah, I mean, you really have to like max match these where you have like a board full of mana sabers and like maybe, but again, compared to the economy options or like the global board buffs that we've seen, yeah, this doesn't really do it for me. So yeah, there is definitely some quality discrepancy, which is normal, right? If they make so many new cards, some of them are going to be better than others, right? And it feels like we're hitting like sort of like the low part here. Death Rattle, get a random Tavern spell. For 2 Chronums, like Sporbat used to be a minion that I could just buy in the Tavern, right? So I feel a little ripped off if I'm paying 2 Chronums for this. It's 1 Tavern spell. You can reborn it later, sure, and it's really good. The chicken is out. You have to macaw it, Titus. I'm gonna say no. I think 2 Chronums is a little much. So I'm gonna hold off on this one. I think I've seen better options. Timewarped Nelly's ship. At the start of each turn, discover a pirate to crew the ship, and then Death Rattle, you summon and get that pirate. So I take this from my Timewarp, and then I don't get a pirate yet because it says start of each turn. No, that's not true. Technically, the turn starts probably after the Timewarp, so I'm guessing that we will just... Actually, no, it's not on the board yet, right? I've just bought it and it's in my hand. That's really slow, right? So I buy it on turn 6 and then turn 7, start of turn 7, this does something? I'm not sure. I'm not sure exactly how it's going to work, if I'm going to get this or not. But this is a beast pirate, so you can reborn it and you can macaw it. That's actually very, very important. That's a very important distinction. So you choose a pirate, and then you can actually macaw and summon a bunch of the triples. When I first looked at this card, I didn't see it was a beast pirate. That is a... yeah. So, well, I guess you could have a Death Rattle pirate and still trigger a macaw, but you can reborn this. Which, would it work? I guess maybe. It's technically not the same ship. Maybe it doesn't work, but... yeah, I think this is something you'd have to combo with Macaw or Titus to farm triples. I think otherwise this is underwhelming. It seems like a very, very Death Rattle-centric expansion because I've said Macaw and Titus many, many times already in this reveal. And it's probably not the last time I'm mentioning it. So it seems like Titus and Macaw probably pretty damn premium. Lots of cool Death Rattles to reuse. Cyclone, Timewarped, it's a 6, yeah, I mean, okay, let me waste my Chronums on a 6 damage Divine Shield, yeah, okay, sorry, no, pass. Yeah, I mean, just compare this, bro, like, a 6-1, I mean, okay, it's got Reborn, it's tempo, okay, sure, it's got tempo, right, it's like 6 damage, 6 damage, 6 damage, 6 damage, it is a lot of tempo, right, it's a lot of times you get 6 damage. But still, you get this, right? At the end of your turn, you get a 3/3 elemental. So this is like the Alley Cat thing, where you farm triples with this. Now, the Alley Cat seems significantly better because you spawn it on the board with the stats. So what is that all about, right? The Alley Cat seems way better. But yeah, this is still a way to farm triples, which is, you know, you'll take that. It's economy and it farms triples, and sure, we'll take it. Timewarped Upstart. After the Tavern is refreshed, double the health of the rightmost minion. That seems tougher to do as well because this seems more like a combo, well, not really a combo piece, but this seems like something that you really want in a specific build and you're not sure if you're going to be able to get that build. So it seems a little bit like Leapers where I'm picking it and I'm then trying to roll it instead of something like this Elemental, which is just going to give me a triple and then open up other options. So I'd much rather pick something like this than this. Timewarped Ragnaros, start of combat, deal 8 damage to a random enemy minion. Also feels just like generic tempo. It's not really scaling. Like, meh is probably my feeling here. My sentiment is meh. Chenvala Buddy for 1 Chronum. It's good if you're Chenvala. I don't know. I've seen so much cool stuff. Like, just getting a Chenvala Buddy, I don't know. Probably gonna pass. Same thing with Alakir Buddy, probably gonna pass. Wind Fury, Divine Shield, Taunt. I don't know. Maybe the Buddy anomaly has just spoiled me where I'm like, I could have bought this on tier 1. Why do I want to pay a Chrono for this? Yeah, I don't know. It's just underwhelming. Lubber, okay. So I don't think this is going to be meta defining, but I think you can have fun with this because it is a so very important. Eyes of the Earth Mother will very likely work on these Timewarp minions, right? They're tier 3. So you can golden it. So if you have golden Lubber, but then you have to go to tier 6. That doesn't really work. I don't know, like 1 Lubber. How much can you lub if you can't roll more Lubbers, right? I don't think it works. Nah, I don't think it works. For Lubber to work, you need to be able to roll more Lubbers. And leveling for eyes, it's taking too long and you don't really want to be on the high tier for Lubber. So probably pass. A Noyotron, Divine Shields, Reborn. So this is like the Tempo Cyclone, right? It's like 6 damage, 6 damage, 6 damage, 6 damage. Yeah, maybe that is just like good enough. I don't know. Seems unexciting. Timewarp Guard gives permanent Divine Shields. Probably don't want to pay 2 chronoms for that, because my minions are going to be like pretty temporary and I'd rather just get a more significant boost. So probably a pass. Sensei gives adjacent mechs 3/2. So 6/4 end of turn. Okay, I can see this being picked up as sort of like a nice little, oh, I have Sensei and something else that I want, right? Sure. Okay. Now this you can play around, right? Avenge 3, get a random mech. If you have an Avenge board where you get 2 mechs per fight, that's solid, right? So I can see that. I can see myself buying a Timewarp Copter. Timewarp Hunter, Battlecry, and Death Rattle, get a pointy arrow. I mean, you would need to have a specific setup that really rewards you for casting Tavern spells. Which there is, right? There's some like Fulbur stuff and other stuff. So if I very specifically get rewarded for casting Tavern spells, then sure. Mothership. Avenge 5, get a random Protoss unit. Yeah, I'll take a Mothership. Sure. If I have a good Avenge setup, because then you can get Immortals and Void Rays and get some tempo. Yeah, that seems like a solid use of 2 chronoms. Timewarp Busker. Battlecry and Death Rattle get a gold. I mean, it's probably something you pick up if you really want another 1 cost. You're like, okay, I'll just take the Busker for some money. But we've seen so many cool effects already that I'm just like, 1 gold, right? Because you get 1 gold and then another gold, and then it's just 1 gold per turn after that. So meh. Yeah, it's just like, look at this, right? Once per combat, when this attacks and kills a minion, you get a triple reward. Just like compare that stuff, right? Yeah, it's 1 chronom versus 2 chronoms, but still, 2 Buskers does not outweigh a 1 Pego. So it seems like for the most part, you want to just hope you get a good 2 chronom card, because there's some real cool effects in here. So yeah, this can attack and not kill something, which is tragic. But you just throw your buffs on this and maybe you position it. You kind of need to position it first though, because it needs to attack. If it gets attacked into, it doesn't work. So you just hope there's no Taunt Divine Shield. Probably significantly worse in mech lobbies. But yeah, this seems like a great pick, right? You just start snowballing with triple rewards. But a lot better if you have an initial buff already. Hogger Buddy for 1. I mean, if I'm Hogger, sure. Otherwise, why do I need a Hogger Buddy, right? I just roll more Pirates and meh, not interested. Timewarp Scourfin is a Scourfin and the base skill in 1. Probably don't want to pay 2 chronoms for that. Like, that's not a bad unit, of course. I'd buy that in a shop immediately, but 7/7 per fight compared to some stuff, like compared to like a triple per fight or 7/7, like I know what I'm taking. Because this is not going to snowball me, right? Timewarp base skill, summon the highest health minion and give it Divine Shield. So this is old base skill with a twist. It gives shields. But do I really want to pick... Like, the reason why old base skill was so dumb is that you could first go infinite and then you could buy as many base skills and you could summon Leroy's and whatever. I don't think this suddenly breaks the game if you can pick it up on turn 6, because you have to keep it on your board the whole time and you can only have 1 of them. And I think this is really more something you pick if you're already leaning hand buff Murlocs and you already have a big scout or something. Then you're like, sure, I'll play this and then I'll have it for later. Other than that, I don't think it's suddenly like, oh, base skill OP. I don't think so. But if you somehow can keep it and you can play eyes on it, it can summon Leroy later on as well. So gotta keep that in mind. Or there is a nice payoff if you're able to keep it the whole time and eyes it. All right, now look, this is what I mean, where there's some layers to this stuff. So yeah, I gave them credit to make a lot of viable cards, but we've seen some stuff that was not so viable, and this is like insanely viable. Like, this is probably the best Timewarp card there is, right? Or like the best first Timewarp card. After you sell a tier 2 minion, you get a random tier 1 minion. So if you have this on your board, every time you sell a tier 2 minion, you also get a tier 1 minion. That's insane! We've seen them give like an economy pirate. So there's an economy pirate. I think the skipper himself is still in, so you can get skipper. And you can hold this on your board and use eyes on it. And now you get 2 tier 1 minions every time. Like, you're infinite. That's infinite gold, bro. You buy a gambler for 0 and you sell it and you get 2 1-drops. And then some of those 1-drops also give you more money. It's like, oh. So yeah, I can throw out a pretty reasonable prediction that this will get nerfed. I can tell you that it's pretty likely that it'll be something like after you sell 2 tier 2 minions, or they'll make the golden version not give you 2, because right now, like, I can pretty much guarantee it, right? What's going to happen is this is going to hit the live servers. Top players are always going to take this. They're going to use eyes on this and go infinite. And it's going to be like, oh, cool, I have infinite gold from my first time warp. That seems good. So I might be off on this. I don't think so, though. It seems pretty straightforward. Like, not to mention, when you take this, you have some 2-drops on your board already. So it's like instant money, right? You can sell some 2s already, get a lot of gold and power level with that. So yeah, I think in the right lobby where you have pirates for extra economy on 1, obviously Murlocs are going to be in because it's a Murloc, so you're already going to have the skipper. Seems pretty good to me, guys. So yeah, do yourself a favor and pick this before it gets nerfed, because I can almost guarantee that that will get nerfed. All right, back to normal stuff. Timewarped Mercules, Divine Shield. When this kills a minion, give the leftmost 3/3. Yeah, I mean, no, right? I mean, nah. Again, I think so many of the 1-cost Chronums, you're just picking them if you have something else that you really want for 1 cost. Like, I can't, like, again, right? Just like, oh, infinite money. Ooh, +3/+3, right? It's just like, yeah. Now, you'd have to, but it doesn't work, because usually it's like you take Mercules on tier 2, and then you've buffed it a little bit. If you have to start playing this on turn 6, it's too slow, I think. So I'm going to pass. Yeah, I mean, this is tempo. At the end of the turn, give minions in the hand and board +2/1. So your whole board +2/1. Yeah, your whole board and hand +2/1. Again, I would rather get money, but if I'm gonna pick tempo, I'll pick something like this where, you know, my whole board gets buffed. It's, again, I don't think it's like insane, but definitely pickable. At the start of your turn, spin the wheel. So turn 7, I get a wheel spin. Man, there's so much variance on that. If you don't get golden minion or prizes or pyroblast, like, just eating the shop is not good enough. Just doing the stats buff thingy is not good enough. So I mean, you know it, you know what Yogg does, guys. So if you want to gamble, take Yogg. There's some really sad outcomes and some really good outcomes, so you know what that does. Timewarped Rewinder. AoE buffs your demons after your hero takes damage. Okay, if I have a crap ton of weavers, then sure. If like double weavers start and I go Timewarped Rewinder, because the weavers are demons as well now, so that is actually some tempo, sure. Other than that, pass. Shadow Dancer, at the end of your turn, casts Staff of Enrichment. Okay. Okay, Staff of Enrichment is now 2/2 to the shop, right? End of turn. Can use this with Drakari later on. You can get spell buffs. Sure, this one I can see. If you already have some shop consumption, yeah, I can see that. At the start of your turn, consume the demon to the right to gain the stats and 3 golds. I have to eat a demon every turn. I get 3. Yeah, it's super situational, I would say. Again, super situational. Kill Wreck, get a demon every turn. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely one of the better buddies. A demon every turn, that's economy, can build towards my comp, I can macaw it, I can Titus it, sure. Timewarp Seer, 1 Tavern spell, each turn costs 0. Yeah, some economy. Like, I'd rather have something like Kill Wreck, because this is like, you have to roll something you actually want to buy, so I would say this is not premium economy, but it's economy, so it's pickable. When a friendly minion gains attack, give it +1 health. Yeah, again, like, super specific, right? Are you Deathwing, right? Even then, right? So yeah, you need to have a really specific board for this. You need to have a board that is gaining lots and lots of attack, so seems pretty straightforward. Dragonling, give this minions and this neighbor stats equal to your tier. Pass. That's not even permanent stats, right? So low flyer, at the end of your turn, give 2 attack to your minions with less attack than this, then repeat it with health. So end of turn, if you're able to just giga buff this, it's 2/2 to the board. But I need to continuously buff this. It does start out at 7/7. Yeah, I mean, it is tempo. It's fine. It's fine. Start of combat, deal 2 damage to 2 random enemy minions. Improves after you play a dragon. I don't think I'm playing around that, right? I mean, if I have like 4 dragons in my hand, sure. But how do I have 4 dragons in my hand? I don't, right? So yeah, on the off chance I have 4 dragons in my hand, sure. Veil, rally, get a random dragon. I like Killrek more because it's a death rattle. This is not guaranteed, and you can't really... I guess if this survives, you could technically get 2, but that's kind of unlikely. So, I mean, it's some economy. It's okay, I guess. Arm, 8 attack. That's a lot of attack. Okay, so you're not going to take this very often, I think, but on the off chance where you have module and like taunt Deflectobot or something, then sure. You can be like, okay, let's just get giga damage and power level then. But I don't think you're aiming for arm. This is really something that just happens, right? It's kind of like arm before. The previous meta, we had arm. It was just, okay, sometimes it happens and you pick up arm, but it's not often. So I think it's the same thing here, where sometimes it happens, but it's not often. Timewarped Elise. After you refresh 5 times, make the highest tier minion in the Tavern golden. Yep, that's something you can play around. Absolutely. Again, we've seen some pretty insane time warp stuff, and this does take a while to get going, but it is much better than the other time warp stuff once it gets going. So I guess this is something you take from a position of strength where you're like, okay, let me just greed a little bit, take the Elise here because I'm already so strong, and then I can just get even stronger later. Time warped winner. At the start of your turn, if this minion survived, get a triple reward. So this is different than the old winner in a few ways. So it's a 6/6, so it's harder to kill. It's stealth, which means it's much harder to kill, and it doesn't remove itself. So you can farm triples from this. So I talked about the Elise, good when you're high rolling and you're strong. This seems doubly good. So if you're really strong, this seems like an insane snowball card, because if you're winning fights and you're going to keep winning fights with the winner, then you get a triple reward, and then you get even stronger, and then the winner is probably going to go off again and again and again and again. So it seems like a giant snowball card that you should only take if you have a crazy good start. Because you have to keep in mind that other people are going to take a Timewarp card that is going to do more for them immediately than the winner. Let's say if they have like the Murloc that gives their board 2/1, or they have the Jelly that gives your board stats when something reborns. That's going to make it more likely that they're going to win the fight. So you have to have a good, strong start here. Something like Lava Lurker with the Reef River or something. Henchman, sure. That's economy, right? That's it just shows how insane this card is to hit in the buddy anomaly, because there's 2 chronums, that's your entire turn, and I'm like, yeah, I can see it. Like Killrek, Henchman, get some economy. Yeah, that's a really good card. Botany, sure, yeah, similar to Henchman. It's just a thing that you put on your board and you get more things, and then more things means I have more money and I randomly get good cards. So yeah, we'll take that. Whoa, hello. Dude, that's sick. Dude, compare this to like the hyena that says every time a beast die, you get some stats, right? It's just crazy. At the start of your turn, get the buddy of your hero power. So this is going to be a bit of a knowledge check, right? But we've just had buddy meta, so hopefully you guys remember what your buddy is. And otherwise, you can check out HS Replay. Nice, fitting in the sponsor. They've got a little tracker during the game where you can actually filter on buddies if you're really in a pinch and you need to know what your buddy is. Actually, if you hover this, maybe it says what your buddy would be. That would be cool. Like if you hover over it in the Tavern, that would be really nice if they make it show you what your buddy is. Anyway, this is good. Because we talked about it earlier, where if you have Celemental and Alley Cat, you make triples. This also makes triples. And it's your buddy, right? So yeah, this is very good. Very good use of 2 chronums. Timewarped Tipper. If you have any unspent gold, get a random minion and Tavern spell. Okay, so I have to float a gold, and I get a minion in return and a Tavern spell. But I have to play a 3/4. No, yeah, probably pass. It's random, right? Yeah, it's not a minion of my tier. It's not a Tavern spell of my tier. I might get a banana. Yeah, I'm a pass on this one. I think 2 chronums a little steep for so much randomness. All right, and then we have new hero powers. So for 1 gold, you can be Alakir, which again, if you have something like Macaw, it's a beast lobby, like you can definitely see the argument here where you say, oh, I really want Alakir, and then I'll just take a good 1 chronum minion, right? So that's how I can see going for 1 chronum instead of 2. Elise, sure. Gonna get this on turn 6. That's 8 golds, right? I think, yeah. No, wait, 9 gold. No, 6 gold, 8 gold. 8 gold, 8 gold. All right, so I get the level to 4 in hero power. Okay, then I get the level to 5 in hero power. Yeah, that's fine. George. Yeah, if I have a good enough start, I can just be George. George in the Murloc lobby. Okay. Yeah, the problem with George is that it does nothing in the early game, and then you're kind of stuck, and you have to somehow get a good board. But if you already have a good start, and then you can become George, then it's very good. Then you can just Divine Shield your board. Oh, Shudderwalk for 2. Yeah, you can really just see what your board is like, and if you have a good board, then yeah, we can be Shudderwalk for 2 gold, absolutely, or 2 chronums. Heron. Yeah, again, if I happen to have a good death rattle and I'm just like, let's go. I like this. I like being able to draft this second hero power based on what my board looks like. Because we've all had those Terran games that look really cool, but then you pick Terran next time with the memory of like, this really good Terran game. And then you don't roll anything and your hero power is so useless and you're like, why do I have this hero power? And now you know like, oh, I already have a good death rattle. So I'm going to get value out of this guaranteed. Lich King. Okay. Yeah, that's another insane hero power where if you have a good setup for it, it's very similar to the Terran one where it can be very whatever, or it can be like, wow, I'm very happy that I can reborn. So if you have a great death rattle that you can reborn, then you can just play Lich King. And in the late game, Lich King is always nasty, right? You can, at the very least, reborn a Leroy. Everything goes into Leroy. So that's your... You know, that's a pretty average situation for Lich King. So this seems like a really nice pickup. Then we have Zephyrus, 3 wishes. Yeah, I guess that's going to depend a little bit on your board again, but that's what's fun about this Timewarp Tavern. You get to play 6 turns or 5 turns first, and then you see what's on your board and you can make the call whether paying 3 gold for a triple seems good or not. 2 gold to become Guff. Yeah, it's kind of like Gallywix in a way. Yeah, okay, so if you have a good start and you can carry this and just become Guff, hell yeah, I'm down. That seems nice. Flurgle, probably a little underrated, to be honest. I think in the right situation, Flurgle is a very good hero power. So you want to have your Ellies, your Pirates, and obviously your Murlocs in. So if you have that kind of a lobby with Murloc, Ellie, Pirate, and you can afford it and you have a good use for your other Chronom, yeah, sure, you can become Flurgle. Oh, Sylvanas. Wait. Sylvanas can steal Timewarp stuff, right? Oh, wow. It's not guaranteed, but that seems like a very, very good... Now, there is a nerf. I think all the Thief heroes, we're going to cover that later, but all the Thief heroes are weaker. Scabs is 3 gold now. Tess is 2 gold. Sylvanas probably 3 gold, so... But that's still kind of crazy, man. Like... We've seen the Timewarp stuff. Some of it is really strong. Being able to steal still seems very strong. So yeah, I'm not so sure. Because it's kind of like stealing someone's trinket, right? If you think about it. So I was like, yoink, 2 trinkets. Yeah, it seems pretty good. Tavish. I don't really like Tavish without the buddy, right? So it's just tempo. I don't love it. Rakanishu, I don't. Yeah, right. Rakanishu's hero, isn't Rakanishu's hero power awful? They changed it with the buddy, right? Yeah, either way, I cannot be excited about Rakanishu. No matter what it is, right? I'm not excited about Rakanishu. Oh, here, Timewarp investment. Get 1 extra Chronom at your next Timewarp. So it's not quite an investment where it's like 1 Chronom for 2 extra Chronoms. That's probably too powerful. But you get to move a Chronom from the lesser to the higher one. So let's say you really want to get like a... I don't know if there's going to be 2 spells. Maybe not, right? But hypothetically, if you want to get Alakir and then you're like, oh, I'll just use the other gold on the investment. Sure. But this is basically something you can only do if you're having a great game and you can afford to not play with an extra Chronom for another 3 turns and then get a 3rd one on the big Timewarp. Timewarp Beanstalk. Discover a 1-cost card from the major Timewarp. Lock it in your hand for 1 turn. Okay. So this is when you're not happy with your offerings and you say, let me just go for a 1-cost from the next one. So we're going to do the big Timewarp after this. So then we're going to see, okay, how many of these 1-costs would I actually want to pay 2 Chronoms for on my turn 6 to then be able to play it on turn 7, which is, still 2 turns early. Big winner, that's the prize. So you get a tier 3 Dark Moon prize and then stuff. Yeah, that again seems fine to take, right? That's like bananas and then something like Great Deal and then something like 2 coins. That's some value. For 1 chronum, that's not bad. Quite a bit of value here. Trainee, get a random minion from tier 1, 2, 3. Really? This is the same? What? A tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 minion, or 3 prizes. Yeah, I don't know. Random tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. I don't know. I've seen better. Get a shiny ring, repeat at the start of each turn. No. Lasso. Get a lasso every turn. No. Get an evolving tavern, repeat at the start of each turn. That I can kind of see, because you can stack it and just... You get a tavern, you hold it. Evolving tavern, then next turn you get another one and you double cast and you get some 6-drops or something. That I can see. Like, that you can make a play with that, right? Like, a lasso every turn, get out of here. Right? Like, what am I gonna do with all... Like, come on, bro. Alright, and then we also have Timewarp New Recruit. Give minions in the tavern 1/2 this game. So, permanent 1/2 buff. The tavern always has 7 cards. Okay, so that's like that anomaly where if you buy something, something immediately spawns, right? So that is some very specific things for like Felbat where you can keep eating. There's also stuff where if you buy spells for cheap, other spells come in its place. So then you can technically like cycle a bunch of spells. This is gonna depend a little bit on how the meta is like and what your situation is at. This one is hard to call, but the anomaly is pretty fun where the card where you don't have to roll as much. It's very good if you're eating with Urzel because you're just constantly making new stuff in the shop. So yeah, we'll have to see for this one. All right, and here we are for the big time warp. This is on turn 9. So these cards are tier 5, meaning that you can golden them with Eyes of the Earth Mother. So that's a very important detail, and also matters in terms of how much damage you're dealing, of course. So we have Timewarp Geist, Death Rattle. Your spells give an extra 1/1 this game. It is only 1 chronum, so I could see it in combination, right, with another good setup. Because this is going to be a little slow where turn 9 you start buffing, so this really has to be complementary to something else. But I think we saw that Carapace was removed, right? So maybe there's like a Timewarped Carapace in here as well. But yeah, I don't know. That seems too awkward right now. Timewarped Radio Star. So it is an old unit, right? It's super cool, by the way. For long-time players, we're going to see so many like, oh, I know that one. Get a copy of the enemy minion that killed this with full health and enchantments. Now, very important, this is a death rattle. So if you have Titus, you'll get 2, right? Now, I don't think you can macaw this because it needs to die. But if you've got a Titus, if you've got a golden Titus, oh my god, if you get a golden Titus. You can reborn this too? Okay. Yeah, that's disgusting. I see some memes with this. Yep. You reborn this, you play Titus. My god. You can steal some crazy. Yeah, that just has a crazy factor to it already. There's so much potential. All right, we have a Timewarped Warghoul. Death Rattle, trigger an adjacent minion's Death Rattle, except for Timewarped Warghoul. Okay, that's, again, combo piece. Really depends on what's on your board and, you know, if you have your Titus, your Macaw and stuff. But, yep, absolutely has potential. Caretaker. Oh, my lord. Summon 6 1/1 skeletons, and any of them that don't fit, give your undead +1 attack, but I'm saying 6 because it's 6 1/1s. This is crazy with Reborn and Titus and Macaw. That's so much attack so fast, right? Compare that to this, which is like 1/1 Death Rattle. This is 6 attack where you can run Titus and now it's 12. Now, I guess it would die, right? But not if you Macaw, right? So with Titus and Macaw, that's 12 attack in one. So if you have a golden Wind Fury Macaw with Titus, that's 24 per attack, like 48 attack or what? Like, I don't know. But the fact that it's like 24 or 48, right? So, but that's a ridiculous amount of attack. Like, you can go to the moon with this thing. What? Like, that is such an unreal amount of attack that you're gaining. Okay, yeah, that's absolutely a build around card. Like, you take that and you just hard commit undead and you farm like crazy. All right. After you play an undead, your undead have an extra 1. Yeah, I mean, compare these two, bro. 5 or 6 attack on Death Rattle, and when I play an undead, I get an extra 1 attack. Ooh, right? It's like, it's not balanced, bro. Not balanced. All right, Gula Cabra. After you trigger a death rattle, give your minions 2/2 permanently. Trigger a death rattle. So again, that's Titus, that's Macaw, but I don't think you can do like menace stacking anymore, right? Sneed? Sneed loves this, right? Sneed loves this. Sneed just gets a bunch of death rattles on one guy, and then hope you get Gula Cabra, and then like your board explodes. Other than Sneed, it's probably not good enough to build around, right? Or maybe it is. Yeah, I mean, again, so much of this is going to depend on your board. And again, right, how many times have I said Macaw and Titus? I think Beast lobbies are going to be very important because that's like Macaw in or out is going to be a huge factor. And Titus is just like default going to be amazing. This might be the season of Titus, where, you know, Brand and Drakari take a bit more of a backseat and it's all about getting Titus. Because I see so many death rattles where it's ridiculous if you can just ×2 it. This one in particular, right? All right. Stomper. After you summon a minion, give your minions 3 attack permanently. Yeah, like decent. This is something you take if your game isn't going that well and you're just like, oh, let me just kill some people. Like, let me just play this and kill some people and get a top 4. That's what this feels like. Permanent shield. I don't think I want to use my time warp on that. Again, it's 1 chronum, so it just depends on if something else I really want. This seems like a support thing. I take it if I really just have a chronum left. Pioneer, after you're fresh 3 times, get a random spellcraft. 3 left. So 3 left means I have to roll 3 more times, not that I can only get 3, right? So this is probably unlimited. After you're fresh 3 times. Oh, what am I getting? Like 2-3 spellcrafts per turn. I don't know, I have a hard time to call it. I have to see how Naga are being played. Feels a bit awkward. Secretary, after you cast 2 spellcrafts, get a random tavern spell. Okay, well, if you get these 2 together, sure. This is dependent on your board for sure. If you have a bunch of spellcraft, yeah, let's go. Like Zesties, Golden Zesty with this. We can do that. Riplash. Death Rattle, get a copy of the last tavern spell you cast. I mean, Macaw Titus, right? They could farm a lot of tavern spells. Like you could get, if you have meditatives and you have spell power, you could actually use this with something like Azurite and just get a bunch of Azurites. So, and maybe like Golden Touch in the beginning. So yeah, again, this is going to depend on if you have a good spell to begin with and if you can use Titus or so to farm more. After you summon a minion in combat, ooh, okay. Okay, that seems good. So Reborn spell is still in, right? So I can reborn my Nagas, maybe get like 3 or 4 deep blues in a fight, and I start my turn with like 4 extra deep blues in my hand. Yeah, if you have a deep blue setup, then let's go. You can even just like run a Mana Saber or something, or Sewer Rat with Reborn to farm more. Yeah, this I can play around. Siren, after you play a Naga, give all your Naga 2/4. Yeah, that depends a bit on how easy it is to generate Nagas, right? We don't have that spellcraft make a Naga anymore. That used to be a 5-drop. That one would be amazing with this. Because this is a little bit like Groundbreaker, but worse because you're not focusing your stats. Yeah, hard time to call this. That's, again, I think all of these cards can be viable depending on what your board looks like, but some of them are just like, oh, really good. You want to pursue this? I'm not sure if this is something you need to pursue. I think this is really, do I have some Nagas in my hand already? Do I have a full Naga board? Sure. Timewarp Bonker, 2 permanent blood gems on all minions, and as Wind Fury. So I attack and I get permanent blood gems. I mean, that's like Charlie, right? This plays 2 permanent blood gems. I mean, do I really want a Time Warp for Charlie? Probably not. Probably not. Oh, bro. What? How is this 2 and this is 1? Death Rattle, give this minion's blood gem to 2 friendly Quillbore. Because we've seen that you can go like giga gems in the shop, right? So and you can get a lot of gem confiscations. So again, right, I'm like a broken record, but Macaw Titus, if you have this guy being like 1,000, and then you Macaw Titus, is like, bloop, your board's huge. Because the issue you have before with Bristler, and it's, by the way, Bristler was amazing, right? It was like insane. But you can't keep spawning if your board is full. You can do that with this guy. So you can run like Reborn, Wind Fury, Golden Macaw, and Titus, and just go like giga buff, right? So you put all your gems on this guy, then you have 2 other Quillbore on your board, you have a taunt, and then you just go to the moon with your stats. Before, what you would have to do is you would have to wait until you have board space and then attack with Macaw and then summon the golems, which is still very good, right? Very, very good. But the fact that this is 1 chronum and it's so easy to farm blood gems right now is kind of crazy. So yeah, have fun. Timewarp Twirler. After 2 blood gems are played on this, cast Blood Gem Barrage. Oh my god. And you can farm blood gems, right? You can farm blood gems. They made Bacon is still in, Prophet is still in. They made the Battle Cry thing, right? 2 gems. So you can play Bran and get 4 gems there. This is going to scale your shop like crazy, man. Not much else to say. This is going to make an insanely large shop. And then you can use Felbor or even like Urzel, or honestly even the Elemental. Anything that eats the shop. Or you could just buy huge minions and then take the gems with gem confiscation. So yeah, this absolutely seems worth. Like, it's kind of crazy, right? Like, you have Charlie. So I can take a Charlie for my big Time Warp, 2 chronums. Or I can have this thing, which is just like every time I play 2 gems, it makes my shop huge. It's kind of silly. Time Warp, Little Quillbore. Reborn, Death Rattle plays 3 gems. Yeah, I mean, good tempo, right? There's no more Hawkstrider and there's no Crone, right? Crone was the combo piece when this was good. So without Crone, without Hawkstrider, this is just like okay. But it's good tempo. If you have good gems and you need tempo, then you take this. Because that's a big buff to your board. Divine Shield. After a friendly minion loses shield, your blood gems give an extra +1 attack this game. It's a little late, right? Turn 9, I take this. Yeah, I mean, if I have a full Divine Shield board, sure. Like, if I have the right setup for it, sure. But probably not something I'm going to go out of my way for. Bloodbinder. At the start of your turn, get 5 blood gems. They also counters Tavern spells. Man, if you could somehow get a Twirler, like from a Thief, if you're a Tess and you go Twirler plus this thing, you get 5 gems every turn, and they also count as Tavern spells. There's a Tavern spell payoffs for sure, right? We've seen a few of them already. So if you have Tavern spell payoffs, then yeah. Now it is start of turn, so you pick it and it does nothing that turn, right? That is significant. So you can't take this if you're in trouble. You're gonna need instant value. Bandit, at the start of your turn, discard a spell for this to play 4 blood gems on all your minions. Okay, so it plays 4 gems on all your guys. That's better than... sorry, I keep making fun of Bonker, right? That's better than Charlie, but yeah. Sorry, I keep giving the shits because it's 2 gems, but it's Wind Fury. It could be 4 gems. It could be Golden Charlie. That's fair. It could be Golden Charlie if it survives. That's a lot of tempo. Okay, sorry, Bonker. I owe you an apology. It's 4 gems. 4 gems is fair. But this doesn't have to survive, right? But I have to discard something. Yeah, I mean, this is like with all the Quillbore stuff, right? Yeah, are your gems big or not? Like, that's what all these things come down to, right? If they're not, then yeah. But if they're huge, then yeah, sure. It's great. New Chameleon, transform into... Oh, start of combat. Oh my god, okay. Yeah, that's stupid. 1 chronum? Oh my god. 1 chronum. Again, I'm a broken record, but if you have something on your board worth copying, then this is nuts, right? The start of so rally units. This is great with rally, right? Because you can put it in the front. It's going to copy the rally unit, and now you have 2 of them. So put a lot of gems on a huge, the guy that makes more gem stats. You know what I'm talking about. Editor magic, poof, on the screen. So you have 2 of them now, and they're huge, and they're milking to getting more gems. 9 frogs. 9 frogs is a lot of value. The only thing that I'm a bit afraid of is that at this stage of the game, turn 9, this is kind of where you're turning the value into a board. So when other people are getting like something like the Twirler and you're then taking 9 frogs and then you have to start building your comp, that is more skill intense because you're gonna have to really squeeze the value. But if you're in a good position, yeah, 9 frogs is still silly value because you can make golden touches and stuff like that. You can buy tier 6 units. Not 100% sure on this though, because 2 chronums, that's my entire Time Warp turn. Yeah, I have to be in a specific position to appreciate that. Oh, permanent gold buffs. Your beasts have 2/2 this game wherever they are. Okay, yeah. I like your hero power with Macaw. Let's go. It's a Titus meta, bro. Like, I've said Titus Macaw so many times already, and this is yet another one where Titus Macaw is huge. Yeah, you can get some really big beasts with this for sure. You can reborn this too. Trigger all friendly death rattles. The crazy thing is, I think this is what old Hawkstrider did. I think old Hawkstrider, when they first created the unit, it actually triggered all your death rattles. Yeah. I feel a little cheated where I feel like a lot of these Time Warp minions are so cool, and then I just get like a nerfed chicken, which goes to show how stupid it is, because it's not one Chronom, it's 2 Chronoms, right? 2 Chronoms for an unnerfed chicken. Yeah, okay. If I happen to have Titus and some good death rattles. Now, we have seen a lot of really cool death rattles, so especially if you have some Time Warp from the first Time Warp that are death rattle, and then you have Hawkstrider, yeah, for sure. Tamuzo, which is Ozumat. After you summon a minion in combat, double the stats. Yeah, that's very specific. That's more for like base skill stuff. But if you have a base skill setup, then you can go for it. Or for the, I guess when you're doing like the tier 7 Kodo stuff, that could also work. If you have the tier 7 Kodo guy, then you can use this to double the stats even more. After you cast a spell, give your beasts 2/2. Aw, that is so specific. This is so weird. We've never had this kind of beast APM stuff, right? I mean, it says, oh, it says a spell, not a tavern spell. Wait, so gems? Wait, this works with gems. Huh. Any spell. Okay, I don't know. Still have a hard time to judge that. Like, how easy is it to do like this cross build? Because you kind of have to run a brand and a cycle slot, and if you're doing it with the gems, you need a profit. Like, how many beasts do you still have on your board at that point? So not sure on this. It's a lot of firsts for me here too, Chad. I'm trying to figure it all out. After you summon a beast, give it 2/1. Improves after you cast a spell. Okay, so this is not great during the tavern, but more like during the combat, right? Where when you summon, it's gonna get a lot of buffs. Yeah, there's a lot of spell casting buff stuff for beasts. Yeah, I really have to see the meta to see how easy it is to farm these spells, because obviously if you can spam spells like crazy, then these are interesting. Cleft Hoof. At the end of the turn, give your beasts 1/2 and deal 1 damage to them 3 times. Sure. So you can actually do a Drakari end of turn self-damage beast comp with this. Yeah. If you have the Lasher and the birds, I can see it. I can absolutely see it. It says 3 times already for 1 Chronom. Yeah, sure. After you play an elemental, gain 1/1 and improve this. Okay, that's huge. That's a big boy. Yeah, I mean, this is APM, right? You have Bran, you have Tavern Tempest and stuff. There's no more lava, so that makes it harder to spam Tavern Tempests. Yeah, 1 Chronom, sure. Depends on what else is in the shop. Icaron, this just gives perma shields whenever you play a minion. It's hard to play around, right? This is more like a support card. It's kind of like the Glow Scale, where you're just like, okay to pick it up if you have a really good use for your other Chronom. Sea Glass, Divine Shield, Rally, double this minion's stats. Okay, but that's not perma. Not that it should be, because it's kind of dumb, but like, how excited am I about that? So it's kind of like Myrmidon, right? You could think about it like a Myrmidon, like an elemental Myrmidon, but in a type where Avalanche is a thing. So I can Avalanche stats on top of this, and then I can rally and it doubles. Okay, I mean, that's a play. Like Icaron plus Sea Glass, that's a play, right? You can play Icaron, play Sea Glass, permanent shield on this, use Avalanche, it attacks. Sure. Behemoth. After you buy an elemental, gain the stats. Yeah, we know what that does. No more lava, though, so you can't copy it. But yeah, if you've been shop buffing, sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. Stormcloud. Tavern Tempest eventually. Ooh, let's go. That's my kind of card. It's Death Rattle again, so Titus, right? Macaw. Play it with Bran. Get a bunch of... Like, it's kind of hard, though. You probably just run the Titus. Like, the Macaw is probably a bit much. Well, it's maybe just the Macaw and not the Titus, because then you can just like reborn the Macaw and attack with it, let it die, attack with it again, feed the Avenge and the Death Rattle. That's probably more like it. It's like a genie. It's like a genie on steroids, because it's a genie that always gives Tavern Tempest and it procs on Avenge as well. That's sick. Yeah, jam that with Bran, have some fun. Substrate. At the end of your turn, get a temperature shift. Okay. Yeah, we're balling. Drakari ballin'. Sure. Okay, so 2 Chronoms. Choose a minion, transform all minions into the tavern into ones of its type, keeping tiers. 2 Chronoms to get a Hamul every turn. Maybe I'm just like spoiled. So I'm just like, I'd rather just buy the Hamuls, but I guess you can force amalgams with this if you have like a buddy or something. I don't know. This is hard to judge. I've seen so many cool effects, so if I'm then like, oh, I get Hamul every turn, I'm not sure. Timewarp Nomi. After you play an elemental, give minions in the tavern 3/2. So every minion. So you can Timewarp Nomi into Urzel and get humongous. Sure, that's a line. If you have a good setup for Nomi, you can jam the Timewarp Nomi. So probably in a demon lobby. Because you can also play Furious Driver with Bran. That's why that was relevant earlier. We talked about how Furious Driver came back. That's another easy way to eat the shop. And there's multiple ways to make huge shops like the gem barrages. So something like Furious Driver and Urzel, like way better right now. Timewarp Interpreter. When you play or magnetize a mech, give your mechs 3/1. When you play or magnetize a mech. So that is in context with the new volumizers. I guess that goes really hard when you have the tier 6 death rattle that magnetizes a bunch. So it's more like tempo, but and you can play this with the death rattle mech as well that puts volumizers in your hand. Sure. It's very specific. So you only want to do it if you have that setup, but sure. And then we have Probius. We know what that does. We've just played Buddy Meta. It's Ortana's buddy. You get to make a golden mech. Yeah, I mean, if you have tripled already into the tier 6 with the death rattle that makes more volumizers, then yeah, you can absolutely get pay a chronom for this and make that golden 100%. Immortal, gain the stats of adjacent minions. That's not a bad win con, honestly. Like, this is like more of a high MMR pick, I would say, where it's not exciting. You're just like, okay, I'm just going to take Immortal, make like 2 big guys play Immortal, and the rest is scam. But that's a win con. You can just jam this, get a huge minion. Whirlotron. Oh man, we've seen so many good death rattles already. This is kind of silly. Copy your 2 leftmost death rattles, except other Whirlotrons. Yeah, with the right board, absolutely. Timewarp Electron. After you cast 2 Tavern spells, magnetize a satellite to your mechs. Oh man, this is so funny because when they time warp, they can literally just go to unnerfed versions and be like, they have to pay chronoms for it. It's fine. So same as with the chicken, this is just unnerfed Electron. Electron used to be this, and then it got completely it was just broken. So they changed it to end of turn. But yeah, this was very good. So yeah, sure. Because Utility Drone is in. Yeah, Utility Drone is a 6-drop. Yeah, 100%. You could play Electron if you have... We've seen some things to already generate more Tavern spells, so you can absolutely do that. Grease Spot. After a minion loses Divine Shield, give your minions 2/2 permanently. Oh, so everything gets 2/2. Okay, yeah, that's like a tempo pickup where if you're just playing mech, your board is fully Divine Shield, you're like, slam a Grease Spot. Yeah, sure. Steamer. At the end of your turn, get 2 random magnetic volumizers. Yeah, again, hyper specific for when you have that setup, but if you have it, cool. Silver as a 5-drop. At the end of your turn, give adjacent minions 4/4. Repeat for every golden minion. So I'm getting 8/8, and then let's say I have like 1 or 2 goldens. 16. I mean, nah, right? I don't know. That doesn't seem cool enough. Tony. Death Rattle, get a copy of Eyes. Oh, wow. Is there some cool stuff I can do if I have a bunch of Eyes of the Earth Mother? Probably. But I am using my Time Warp on this. So this, again, seems like such a good supplemental thing, where I was like, sure, I'll play it. I'll play a Tony, and I'll use my 1 chronom on something else. So sure. Again, very dependent on your board. Peggy, whenever a card is added to your hand, give Pirates 1/1. Okay. Yeah, that is an actual... like good scaling thing, because it's so easy to add cards to your hands with pirates, right? Because we've seen the other guy though, the 6-drop. Whenever you gain a gold, when a card is added to your hand, it's kind of easy to gain the gold as well, right? I'm trying to compare it to the new 6-drop, and whenever my Time Warp is just get a kind of a 6-drop, I don't like it. Now it's easier to add cards to the hand because it works with gems and stuff, but still, this is like coins. Add coins to your hand, start of combat, during the combat. Tavern spells to the hand with the new 5-drop. That's also something that the other pirate wouldn't trigger on. Sure, I guess if you just have like Tethys and a bunch of setup, then you could just take this. But I'm only taking this if I'm already like getting kind of close to infinite. Raider, after you play a card from tier 4 or above, give your pirates 3/3. Probably rather have the Peggy, right? Because this is like, I don't have to think. I don't have to think if I have the Peggy. Sure. Plunderer, Death Rattle, increase your maximum gold by 2. Okay, so this you can only get on turn 9, so it's getting a little late, but cue the thing, Macaw Titus. So if you have that, then cool. You can actually get enough oils that it's worth. Because you're going to go infinite pretty quickly, right? Because you can, especially if it's Golden Macaw, or if you can reborn it, you can, just because it's Death Rattle. So it's such a big deal. Like, you need to get more than 2. If you're only getting 2, it's too slow. You need to go infinite really quickly after you get this. Hooktail, whenever you cast a Tavern spell, give your minions 2/1. Okay. We've seen a lot of Tavern spell buffing. There's no more bounties, though. Is that good enough? Yeah, I mean, I need a... If I have, like, a bunch of those things that generate coins, then sure. That can be the thing I need to stay alive. So, especially if I already have Tethys, and then I generate Tavern spells with the new 5-drop, then sure. I can see it. New Murky, at the end of the turn, gain 2/2, improved by each battlecry you've played. Just or triggered this game. Nah, right? I mean, that gets really big, but it's only buffing itself. It can't be amplified with Bran. It's not getting triggered by Murky. Nah, I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say pass. Expeditioner, taunt Divine Shield. After this gains stats, also give it to the 2 leftmost minions in your hand. How am I giving the stats? I can give the stats with the new tier 7 Murloc, but that's a difficult process. I have to be Thorim, right? Basically. Meh. I mean, again, this is like super specific. Probably not 2 Chronums. At the end of your turn, trigger all friendly battle cries. Hell yeah, let's go. What? Trigger all friendly battle cries. Jesus, man. I can't wait to break the game with this. This has to be... You have to be able to break the game with this. That's gonna be crazy. Painter, at the end of your turn, give adjacent minions 2/2. Improved by cards played from tier 3 or below this turn. So I play a lot of tier 3 or below. I guess if I have Golden Skipper, right, from the first Timewarp, this is kind of nutty, because then I've played so many 2-drops. If I don't have that, then how many cards from tier 3 or below am I playing? This is giving my adjacent minions the buff. I have Drakari, maybe. Yeah, I mean... Again, specific. If I can cycle a bunch and I have Drakari, so basically need Drakari and Bran for this. After you sell 3 Murlocs, your Tavern spells given it... Ooh, okay. So this is like crazy for the spell buff build, because it's not hard to sell Murlocs. Tad, Primal Fin, Conch, the Skipper, right? If you have this, this is perfect if you have the Skipper from the first Timewarp. Yeah, so... Again, specific, but like Flurgle, if you've taken Flurgle Hero Power earlier on, this is a really easy win condition then. Like this, you can force this, you can play around this, right? That's a win con. Murgler, give adjacent minions the stats of all the minions in your hand. Yeah, that can be a win con too, depending on what you've been playing. Heliophin, at the end of your turn, get a Cloning Conch. Okay, so that's, you can't combo that with the Mystic, because the Mystic's 2 Chronums. 1 Cloning Conch. Is that worth it? That's not worth it, right? I don't think it's worth it. Oh, you have a Timewarped Conch here. I wonder which one. It doesn't say Timewarped Cloning Conch. It says Cloning Conch. So I don't think you're getting this one. I think you're getting a regular Cloning Conch. But this one says choose a friendly Murloc, summon an exact copy. Whoa, that's kind of crazy. I guess this really depends on what you've been doing. Oh my god, I can copy River Skipper with this. Oh my god, it's like too much value. You're like, now you're getting paid to buy 2-drops, right? If you have a Skipper and you've used eyes on it, and then you use Conch, you have like 2 golden Skippers, don't you? Oh my god, bro. Okay, there's some war crimes waiting to be happening, chat. Waiting to be committed. Alright, Squalfin? After you play a Murloc, give minions in your hand and board 2/1. That seems better than like Painter, I think. Well, maybe not. So it buffs itself, yeah. Yeah, I mean, great for something like Flurg. You just spam and buff and don't care. Timewarp Trickster, give the minions maximum stats to another friendly minion. Yeah, it's 1 Chronum only, but still. You have to... Yeah, I guess you can... if you already have a big shop, you can buff this and... Macaw Titus. It's a Death Rattle meta. Crazy. Yeah, okay, I can see it. If your shop is already big... You can play stuff like Furious Driver and Mind Muck and stuff, and then you can trigger this with Macaw. Shivara, Divine Shield. Whenever a minion could... Okay, this is like great. Like take these 2, for instance, where you just have this as a bonus when you're consuming. Urzel, same deal. So it seems like a good win con to pick up if you're already in that composition if you already got the Urzel, if you already have the big shop. Kill Jaden. The Tavern offers 2 extra demons with 7/7 after each refresh. Upgrades each turn. So upgrade as in an extra 1/1 or an extra 7/7? Like how much is this upgrading? I'm not sure. But I think we're playing this mainly for the component where you spawn the demons, right? So this is mainly to help you get your Urzels and stuff. I don't know, it feels like I'd rather want other stuff, but maybe I'm underrating this effect. Maybe the buff is actually quite relevant. We'll see. Archimond. Yeah, I love it. This is just like unnerfed Archimond. Like you have an unnerfed card and it's just good enough to be a Timewarp card, which is hilarious. But that's true. Archimond can let you go infinite. So if you have a lot of self damage, right? So you have your Weaver, you play a demon, it rewinds the damage, so you don't have to play Soul Rewinder anymore. You then make the spell cost 1 less. It can go to 0, right? Because it's actual unnerfed Archimond. So then you can buy the Tavern spell for 0, use that as more economy. Like for instance, Chef's Choice for 0. Make another demon, play the demon, make the next spell cost 0. Really cool, really fun. So absolutely pickable if you already have Weaver on your board. Then we have Overfiend. After you buy a card, give your demons 2/2. Buy a card. Yeah, I mean you need to have like the brand for this and lots of economy. You can't get the Archimond and this guy, right? So I guess if you did the invest play, you could maybe do it. Yeah, I think this doesn't scale well enough. I think the demons are scaling with shop buffing, right? Not with this guy. I think it's all about shop buffing, and this guy doesn't do that. After you spend 10 gold, give minions in the Tavern 3/3. This guy, I mean, it's a shop buff. So I get that. I play with Bran. Yeah, you gotta use the staff, I think. The staff scales with spell power, right? That's the thing. I think you still want to go spell power. There's still some spell power options, and the staff just seems like you can duplicate it much easier. So Timewarped Calligrapher, Battlecry, Death Rattle, and Rally get a random Tavern spell. Sure, for 1 chronum, we can fit that in, get a little bit of value. Again, this is just like, it's not direction, so it's just a supplementary card. It's a support card you take if you really want something else with a chronum, but I don't think you're gonna go crazy for this. Greenskeeper now triggers your rightmost Battlecry and Death Rattle. Okay. So that can maybe be something for gem buffing, some other kind of value, highly dependent on your board, and if you already have Titus or Bran. Now we have a Timewarped Promo Drake. Start of combat, your minions get +2/+2 and improves after you spend 8 gold. So you spend 8 gold and then it's 4/4 and then it's 6/6. That seems really slow, right? Yeah, for two chronums, no deal. No deal. Poet for 1 chronum. All your dragons keep bonus. See, that's crazy, right? This is 2 chronums, this is 1. Okay. All your dragons keep bonus keywords and stats gained in combat. Yeah, that's great. Slam a Poet. You can jam this with amalgams and do some funky stuff, which we already talked about in Murlocs. You can do stuff with, obviously, just dragons. There's no more Charmwing, though, so Poet does lose a lot of punch there. Kind of linked to Charmwing, but still, you know, some cool stuff available here. Timewarped Duskmaw. Avenge 1, give your dragons 3/3. So if you don't have this, right? Because it's in the same time warp. Although you could do the thing where you save a chronum and then you can buy these 2, but that's very specific. So Avenge 1, give your dragons 3/3. That's a lot of tempo, but still. Oh, wait. You have the new Scallywag Dragon thing. Never mind. That's huge. Yeah, with the Scallywag Dragon build, this is absolutely a thing. Absolutely. Yeah. This is like Eliza, right? Yeah. Okay, great. You can just run this. Yeah, this is great for the build. If you've got the Scally Dragon build where you're just like pew shooting the whelps, this is great. Timewarped Prism Scale? Yeah. Avenge 3, get a random Tavern spell that gives stats. Okay, so very similar, right? Like this guy. If you have the Scallywag, I call it Scally because we all know it, right? It's Scallywag Pirates, and now they're making it with dragons, which is fun. It's cool. I'm not complaining, but it's easier to just call it Scallywag. So you have the new like Death Rattle Dragon, whatever you want to call that. Yeah, I mean, good combo, right? You can get a lot of stats, and you can use that to buff your tier 6 dragon that buffs with Avenge, so you can use those spells to buff it. Centurion, after you cast a Tavern spell, get an extra copy of it twice per turn. So that's like Tathalon Buddy, and you can trigger it twice. So a golden Teflon buddy. You're time warping a golden Teflon buddy. Kind of, roughly. Not exactly. It's not the same spell, so... It's a little late. You're getting a turn 9, right? Teflon buddy does its best work earlier for more economy, but still, you're not sad to have that later on. I don't know if it's good enough. It all depends on what's in your hand, right? You have Golden Touch in your hand when you get this. It's a lot better all of a sudden, so probably situational. Timewarp Nala. Whenever you cast a spell, give a friendly minion of each type 4/4. I think Nala at her best was 2/2, right? So this is like Golden Nala. So you're time warping a Golden Nala. That can be the pick, right? Depending on your setup. If you're generating like 8 spells a turn, then yeah, just like slam a Golden Nala and go, right? So like most time warp things, it really depends. What does your board look like? Because this can go from like, yeah, to like, ooh, no. So, boats! Death Rattle. Summon and get 3 random pirates. Ooh. Summon and get. You know, guys, this is a Death Rattle. You know, it goes with Death Rattles. Macaw Titus, right? Yeah, you can fill your hand with pirates that way, right? If you Macaw this, because it says summon and get. Now, I don't think you don't get them if you don't summon, right? So if there's no board space, like with Titus, you probably still get them until your hand is full. So that's really the power of this, is that it just fills your hand with pirates and hopefully gets you into infinite pirates with Tethys pretty quickly. So that's probably how I would want to use this. I would want to use this with Macaw Titus and just fill my hand with pirates. Oh, here we go. This guy. So it's really deep into the review. Sorry for this, guys. It's a huge patch, right? It's crazy. And everything's being dropped on the same day. So it's like normally this is spread out over like more than a week for, you know, we have a lot of videos to digest it. But anyways, we're here. So this is the other way to get 7 drops. We talked about how the Murloc tier 7 is crazy, some other stuff. This is how you get him. So for 1 gold, you can buy this, sell this, and get a tier 7. Or hold it on your board to get more than 1 tier 7. Now, I think you can realistically get like 1 or 2 because it's turn 9, right? So you'd have to wait until turn 10 and then you crack it. So I don't think realistically you're going to do more than this. You guys might have seen my review with Mitchell on the Play Hearthstone. They were like, oh yeah, you can get 10. I was like, bro, like you're not even getting 5, right? Like, let's be honest. Like you're dead. You're super dead. It is maybe comboable with Drakari. So if you have a Drakari, I think it goes off twice, right? So maybe with Drakari you can get 3. But this seems like such a risky proposition. So I would probably crack this for 1 or 2 7s, right? I think if you're gonna do more than that, you know, you're on your own, right? That's your risk to take. I have nothing to do with that. All right, but yeah, there's a lot of cool 7s, mostly the Murloc that you're after, because the Murloc's kind of crazy. It's AFK buddy on steroids. Theo, after you play a minion with no type, give a friendly minion of each type 4/4. Really? I'm paying 2 chronoms for that? I don't think so, right? There was a meta where Theo was the nuts, but that's the past, right? This is the future, old man. We're not. I don't know. My instinct is no, because last time Theo was in, you couldn't really make him work. So I think the game has evolved too much for this type of scaling to be good, but maybe I'm wrong. Feels like a no for me. All right, and then we have Timewarped Deus. Your battle cries, death rattles, and rallies trigger twice. This is like crazy Moira, right? Yeah, I'll buy that. Man, okay, so your battle cries, death rattles, and rallies. Yeah, I mean, we know how good Moira is. So a Moira that also affects rallies, hell yeah. Hell yeah. There's also that new spell, which is also something Deus, which triggers a battle cry, a death rattle, and a rally. So that obviously goes insanely well together if you have this guy and you didn't have that spell. That's super good. All right, and then we have Low Buddy. Start of combat, copy all friendly rallies. Yeah, so you're getting Low Buddy for a chronom, sure. Like with many things, if your board is full of rallies, this is good. If it's not, then, you know, don't buy this, obviously. Yeah, duh. We have Rakanisha Buddy. At the end of your turn, get 2 random spells. I've never really rated this buddy. Yeah, maybe with a lot of spell power and Drakari on the board. Maybe. Oh, we have Kerrigan units. Okay. Viper. But it's a no type, right? That's the issue, right? There's no Infestor. Really? Okay. They just have Viper and Ultralisk. Sure. The one that I want to buy is not in. I don't think... I mean... sure, maybe if I'm losing, I'll just go Viper to try and scam. Other than that, it's a no type. That's the issue. You can't buff this thing, right? It's so hard to buff. It's so hard to buff this thing. I gotta get a very specific setup to want this. Ultralisk, at the very least, is still double stats and cleave. So if you manage to buff that with some spells, you're getting a much better return out of it. So Ultralisk I can kind of see in the right setup. And then we have spells. Timewarped cloning device. Choose a friendly minion, summon an exact copy of it. So you're basically just Xeric, right? Xeric hero power. Wow. Yeah. I mean, sure, that can absolutely be worth 2 chronums. Again, all depends on your situation. All right. Timewarped on the house. Discover 2 minions from your tier. So Variant, right? You're basically getting Variant. I guess. Variant is always the one you take when you're like, sure, Variant, right? So I think this is the same thing when you're like, you're not really happy with your offerings. You're like, sure, I'll take 2 5s or 2 6s. Yeah. You can hold this, right? Or not? Should be able to hold this. Yeah, okay. Give a minion 2/2 and then double the stats. In the right position, I can see that. With like the tier 7 Kodo we just talked about, or maybe the tier 7 Murloc. Although you'd have to be Thorim, right, to get that, basically. So we'll see. Most of the time it's probably a skip, but in the right situation, yeah, like a double up on stats could be huge. Timewarp Bananas. Fill your hand with Tavern Dish Bananas. Your Tavern spells give an extra 2/2 this game. Oh, okay, so the Tavern Dish Banana is a 2/2 banana, and you're getting a 2/2 buff, so it's 4/4, so it's 40/40. You're getting 40/40 distributed to, however you want, and your Tavern spells get a flat +2/+2 boost. It's really the flat +2/+2 boost on top of it that makes this a thing, where you might have a setup where you're like, yeah, I'll take 2 spell power and I'll fill my hand. Most of the time, I still think you're gonna want like a unit that sets you up a bit better, but this seems very pickable, right? 40/40 and then +2 spell power, we'll take that. Oof! Timewarped Ritual. Discover a tier 7 minion, and you get a random tier 7 spell. The tier 7 spell is so weird, right? Because you can get Blade of Ambition, which is the absolute nuts, and then you can get the others. And it's funny, right? Because nothing comes close to Blade of Ambition. I think you have Divine Shield, you have Sharing is Caring, and then I'm not even sure what other 7-drop spells there are. Yeah, the fact that I can't choose the tier 7 spell makes this significantly worse. But then again, there's probably so few that you would basically just get Blade of Ambition every time, which is too strong, so I see. Yeah, if there is any way to copy the spell, which there probably is, Nobundo and stuff, right? Then this suddenly becomes a lot better. Yeah, so on Nobundo, yeah, you're down for this, 100%. And you get to discover a tier 7. So in the Murloc lobby, I guess, right? In the Murloc lobby, this and Scout, way better. Oh, what is this? Timewarped Strike Oil. Increase your maximum gold by 3, gain 3 golds. Oh, this was made for me, but do I like it? That's the problem. It's on turn 9. So on turn 9, I get 3 extra gold. So I get 13 gold, assuming I haven't played any Strike Oils previous to that, which is highly unrealistic. Who plays 0 Strike Oils, right? But I have 13 gold for my turn 9, and next turn I'll have 13 gold as well. There was a trinket that did that, right? Like Tip Jar, where you get like 4 extra golds, kind of. So this is like Tip Jar. Yeah, it's one of those things you take if you don't love the others. I don't think you are like insanely happy with just a gold boost compared to some of the effects we've seen that you can get, but you're never sad with it. So it's never like a horrible pick. Timewarped Evo. Choose a minion, discover a tier 6 minion to transform it into, and it keeps the stats. So for 1 chronum, I evolve something into a 6, and I discover it. It's not random, and it also keeps the stats. Yeah, I mean, if you have this random 1-drop that just got huge because God knows what reason that happens sometimes, right? You have a 1 or a 2-drop, like a Lava Lurker, and it's huge, and you're just like, eh. And then you throw this on there, it becomes a 6, and it keeps the stats. A good supplement, I would say. Not something I'm going to go out of my way for, but if I'm down to 1 chronum, yeah, like, sure. That's not a waste. 10 armor. Oh my god, bro. You're so sad. You're so sad if you have to buy this. Oh my god, are you sad? Everyone else is having fun and you're just like, I guess I'll just gain some more armor because my board is that I just need to survive another turn or 2. Oh god, yeah. So sad. Discover a death rattle and give a reborn. Okay, I mean, in a Beast Undead lobby, right, in the right setup, we can go for that. Timewarped Chef. Choose a minion and get a 4, 5, and 6 of that type. It is random, that's the issue, right? But you can gamble on this. That's a huge gamble. If you're really wanting to play a certain type, I would say that some of the spells, or maybe not a lot of the spells, they're really backup options where you're just not happy with the minions that were offered. You don't have like a pure game plan. Because I think if you can do something like the Undead with the Overflow that gives your Undead attack, however, like that's so much better. There's a few other picks we've seen like the Deos, right? There's a few other minions that just completely enable a strategy and so strong. And this is very much like, well, I guess I'll get something, right? So if you're not happy, then you go this. I think that's what this feels like. Fill your hand with spellcrafts. Yeah, okay. I mean, if you have like an insane payoff for Nagas, like there was another Naga, right? Which is like whenever you cast 2 spellcrafts, get a Tavern spell, which I think was 1 cost. So that Naga plus the Time Warp special is like, you can play that and you get some benefit from it, sure. Make a minion golden, Reno hero power. Sure, I mean, that's never unpickable, right? A Reno hero power is never unpickable, so you'll grab that. Got a Brand on the board, or in this expansion, honestly, get a Titus on the board, right? So much death rattle value, so got a Titus on the board. Make that sucker golden. Bam! Let's go. Timewarp Thief. Discover a minion from your Warbat last game. Dude, they're doing it again! This is so fun! Okay. So this is where you end the game with. Now, there's gonna be some crazy shit, man, where you want to like put a random brand on your board because you know you're winning, because maybe you steal and then you can take a brand into next game. Or a Titus, right? Yeah. You just take your Titus from last game and make it 2020. That's funny. That is hilarious, bro. I can't wait to do this kind of stuff. It's a discover, so you can miss, right? You're only getting 3 options out of your 7, so you can definitely miss. So be careful, yeah. All right, guys. And then lastly, we also have 2 new heroes and a bunch of reworked heroes. Now, we have Murozond as our first new hero. This is essentially buttons from Trinkets, where on turn 8, you get to visit the major time warp 1 turn early, and then you get another one on the regular turn 9. Now, buttons is a super fun hero where you can mix and match greater trinkets, and Murozond is probably going to feel very fun as well, where you can combine things that normally you can't combine because you're not supposed to have enough chronums to buy both of these, let's say 2 cost huge chronom engine cards from the Timewarp Tavern. So that's really, that's going to be a lot of fun in the beginning. There's also there's a reasonable chance that there's going to be quite some imbalance in the beginning. So there's going to be several just way too strong greater time warp minions. So Murozond just has more chance of getting them, or maybe just making some illegal combo. So it seems like a super fun pick in the early season. And our second new hero is Chromie. She has a 0 cost hero power to refresh the tavern with tavern spells. Now, I don't know if that means that I get a normal amount. So let's say on turn 1, if I do this, will I get 3? The way I normally get 3 units and then a spell. So 4, I guess. Or will I get 7? I'm sort of thinking that it's going to be 7, where it's similar to the spell that just spawns a bunch of spells in your tavern. And this could be quite interesting, because turn 1, you could do this to get something like recruit plus coin, and then you're already up a gold. Once you're on tier 2, you can do this for the damage coin to farm additional gold early. You can first say buy from your shop and then use it and maybe get like Chef's Choice or something cool. So seems like you can probably get quite some interesting early game economy options, because a lot of the spells are just cheaper than buying minions. Say, for instance, Chef's Choice, a good example. And it's honestly quite good, because you can even hold it and then go to tier 3 and get higher tier minions. So definitely seems like an interesting hero where you can do some cool, interesting curves. And then obviously later in the game, if you have any of the engines we already talked about that really benefits from having a lot of tavern spells, Chromie can do this. And at the very least, you can like cycle coin or any other spell that's super cheap. And then as mentioned, we also have some changed heroes. These are mainly to just accommodate the switch up from buddies to Timewarp Tavern. So we're still going to have to see if Thief heroes are still going to be way too strong or not. But almost all of them have been nerfed. So you have Sylvanas going from 2 gold to 3 gold, which is honestly fine, right? It's weaker for sure, but you can spend 3 gold to get a unit. That's the normal price. And if there's a chance that that's a Time Warp unit, that's pretty insane. You can even do something like on turn 6, just have your Time Warp unit on the board, and then you're guaranteed to steal it, assuming the opponent doesn't lose a bunch of minions, which they shouldn't if you only have 1 unit. Now, that is pretty crazy because you are going very aggressive. You're going to take 10 damage for sure. But, you know, certain Time Warp units are probably worth doing that. So I'm still a little scared for the Thief units being quite strong. Scabs, same idea here. 3 gold, still playable, just way harder, right? It's much harder to level plus hero power now. You really have to commit to hero powering instead of leveling. So that is a significant nerf for sure. Tess, same thing here, 2 gold. So if you want to buy one of those units, it is going to cost you 5 gold. Now, for certain Time Warp units, that is fine. You're going to be pretty happy to pay 5 gold to just hero power and buy a Time Warp unit, especially if it fits your current board situation, so you immediately get that tempo back. The main problem with Tess is that you spend a bunch of money, take a lot of damage, and you don't quite get online fast enough. So I don't think you're going to steal every Time Warp unit with this, but it's mainly if it just really fits your board, so you immediately get a big payoff from that. Then Bran is going back to 4 battle cries. That probably has to do with changes on the Tavern tiers and just making it a little bit easier. That's fair. Probably going to have a bit of an armor change too to reflect that. Kael'thas now generates a Tavern coin that is consistent with everything we've seen. The regular coins are essentially Tavern coins for more synergy. Barov, guess which player will win the next combat? If you're correct, get 3 Tavern coins. Okay, so does this mean Barov is back? Because, yeah, I see the change. Hypothetically, if I could get a Barov, I get Tavern coins, but he's been banned for like the last year or so. It's been crazy. But he's just been bugged where if you bet, sometimes your hero explodes. So that's not good. So we'll see if they fix that. Who knows? It's always a question mark. And then we have Reno, who is essentially the same, but you can't golden a Time Warp unit. That makes sense. That would be way too strong. It's like Reno being able to golden your trinket. That would, you know, make your trinket twice as effective. That seems unfair. Same thing with Zarek. Same deal here. You can't just clone your Tavern, your Time Warp unit. That makes sense. And then we have a revert on the Kerrigan nerf, which also makes sense because Kerrigan was very strong in the buddy meta, but now buddies are not going to be in the Tavern anymore, so there's no reason to keep that hero power so expensive. Then Thorim going from 55 gold back to 60. That also makes sense in the buddy anomaly meta. The meta is super fast. A slower hero like Thorim suffers so much from that, so they kept buffing him, where it went from 65 to 60 to 55, and now that they're changing the meta, it's likely going to be 2 get a 55, and it's going to go back to 60. Low is only restricted to Quilboar lobbies, no longer Dragon and Quilboar. That's probably because of Charmwing not being a thing anymore. So they really wanted you to get good rally value, and now that dragons aren't so much about rallying, probably just going to want Low in Quilboar lobbies. And then we don't have a restriction to beast lobbies, which is also purely because of buddies, right? Cenarius had a beast buddy, Ozumat did some beast stuff, so that makes sense. No longer restricted. All right, guys, that was a huge patch. I hope you guys appreciate it. I hope this was useful. Please let me know in the comments if there's anything you disagree with, some cool synergies I missed out on. I read all the comments, so I would love to get your take on this. And everybody have a good time in the new meta. I'll see you soon, hopefully with some cool videos.